silver's way over 40 now. $42.
What has it been?
24,
What's
23.
that platinum piece of shit you got?
That's a Mexico story. That's your son's deal from rapping.
I know what it is.
Oh, this is silver.
It's $40.
Well, this is, I think, too. Jesse got me that.
You're looking at about $50 right there.
Like 75 to 100.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Pacific Calls. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver. Did you get some shotguns or some calls in the mail?
I did.
Did you forget to bring them out here?
There.
I did. Yes.
Yeah,
you did.
it's all right.
So you forgot.
But yeah, Pacific Calls. If you need a duck or goose call for this year, we have a promo code BHP25, save you 25% off. And if you have silver, laying around,
It's $42 an ounce.
It's $42 an ounce. Jeff's telling me.
Yep,
So
and we're gonna have some calls at the lodge for sale this year.
his Flavor Flav chain now is that he paid $300 for is now worth $125.
Oh, nice.
No, that's actually this chain that I have.
How much did you pay for that?
Jesse got me that.
How much did you pay for that?
The coin I paid, I think I paid $175 for a silver chain and coin in Cozumel, and I told the guy, I said, listen, if I get home and I find this ain't real silver, I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna beat your ass. Oh, si, senor. No. About 4 months later in the pool, Reese goes, your chain's turning brown. I go, are you shitting me? And I took it off. I said, that son of a bitch. I must have to go to Cozumel, and I haven't been back. But on the square to the left, on the second alley, third building on the right is where his Chi-Chi's office is. So I'm going to go see him. But the coin has got my birth date on it, and that's why I bought the coin. So Jesse and Andy didn't even know, bought me this for my birthday, the chain.
Birthday.
And they paid. The chain is a good chain, so there's no. It's double in value now because price of silver's went up.
That's good.
But now I got.
Art of the deal.
I have an old chain that I wear, a gold one that I wear all the time. So I have retired this to my box, and then the boys had to go as rap day at school.
Oh yeah,
and this looked like Flavor Flav with the big coin. So Reese went as a rapper.
You just can't hide money. You
No,
know?
you can't hide money. You can't hide that shit.
If I had any more money, I wouldn't know what to do with it.
So with us today is Riley Rodriquez. Riley is, we've known since he's a little kid, Zach's best friend, and Riley is running for Democratic. Now, this is going to get people, Democratic State Senate.
Yes, sir. Yes,
District 28, is that right?
Yes, that's our state senate district, 28.
Now, you know how me and Andy are politically, and we're going to talk about things, and it's not going to be anything personal, but we're going to talk about the state of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I don't like most politicians in general. I think most of them are hose bags and thieves anyways.
I think all of them are.
There's probably some good on both sides. I think
Really?
think the best Democratic politician is the kid that's on the five, and his last name's Ford, and I can't remember his first name. He's a really good dude. He's got a lot of common sense.
On the 5.
On the 5, it's a show on
the show.
Fox.
I thought Abraham Lincoln was on the 5.
Yeah.
I was confused there for a minute.
But I can't remember his name. But he's a really nice guy.
He's been
Yeah,
going
yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. He has been a long time. So, and I'll think of his name later.
What made you want to do this? Because a career in politics, it's going to get ugly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially today. Like, what's funny? I was talking to somebody, and they were like, 40 years ago, I didn't know what anybody was. I didn't know what my grandparents voted. I didn't know how my neighbor voted. And he's like, now it's everywhere. Like if you don't subscribe to this team, then it can't have anything to do with you. So like knowing how ugly politics is right now and knowing how fun loving you are, what made you want to do this?
I guess I'm just really a glutton for punishment. But,
I guess.
You bring up a good point, and that's kind of where it comes from. My parents were very apolitical. I don't know where Roy and Nancy stood on anything.
Right.
My dad, we didn't discuss politics. If it wasn't livestock or horses, then we weren't talking about it. Then I was getting my ass chewed out, honestly.
Let's have fucking gate open again, right?
So I got to grow up, and honestly, I don't, you don't know it at the time, but it is a blessing. I got to make my own decisions.
Right.
Wasn't purposeful by my parents,
Right.
but I was, a latchkey kid, me and my sister. So we grew up just basically figuring our own stuff out. And it gives you a different perspective on the world when you don't grow up with somebody already telling you what you should think, how you should think, and you get to look at things the way that they are. And what made me decide to, first of all, get into politics, and then I'll get into why I decided to do Democrat. But politics in general is, y'all know that grown up in this area. I went to 5 different high schools. I've been in basically every small town there is here. At least it feels like it. And I got the privilege to not have a manufactured perspective. So I just watched it, and I watched my small towns that I love. You know, my family's in Seymour, my family's in Knox City. Hell, I got family in Menard. You drop a pin anywhere in our district, and I'm probably related to 10% of that population. And
Rodriquez's name is vast.
Mexicans be getting around.
They be getting around. And I've watched it deteriorate. You know, you drive down a small town on the main street, and all the stores are closed up. There's no more there's no homegrown stores. It's a United. It's whatever, right? It's been bought out, and but the people haven't changed. The people aren't worse. They're not bad. You know, the people in the town haven't changed. They didn't change their views. They didn't decide that they liked this better than that. It just kind of happened.
What makes you think that that's from a political party, though?
I don't think it's from a political party necessarily. I don't think that it's kind of what I mean. I don't see it as this party did it or that party did it. I see it as there is a compounding issue, and it just so happens that we are running a trifecta state right now, right? It's not necessarily that it's all Republicans do this and that's just how they are. It's the people that we have in power have been placed in power by people who need to make the deals they need to make. I don't see our public officials as the caricature corrupt. I see them as people who probably wanted to get involved in public service, and other people with power that said, that's the guy that's going to make the decisions I want. Mm-hmm. And I've watched that happen and happen and happen. And, you know, now I'm older, so I understand, oh, wait, there are people in our state, in our communities, I would say, coming to our state that are getting sweetheart deals, no matter what. Then they don't care. They're not a part of a political party, right? Billionaires aren't part of it. Billionaire dollar corporations don't give a damn who you vote for. They give a damn what kind of break they can get. Right. And while all this is happening, we're concerned with making deals, getting industry, and our district in particular has over 100,000 people living in poverty, and they're Republican and Democrat. And what motivated me is, when is rural Texas going to get a seat at the table? When is somebody going to say, well, wait a minute, maybe this 900-acre piece of land that we're going to give an 80% tax abatement on, maybe that might affect our people a little bit, our locals, right? Maybe we should take a step back and say, well, if this is about everybody, then why are the people with the least amount of resources getting the biggest part of the shaft?
You want me to give you the answer why?
Please.
JOBS, jobs. Yeah. You give they give me and Andy 900 acres. What are we going to do with it, Andy? We don't have the resources to do anything. What you're talking about is the AI Center in Abilene, right? That's the majority of what you're talking about.
That is one thing that I like to point to, because it's probably the biggest example of it.
$3.5 billion is what they're spending on that, and it's 85% tax abatement.
Is it
85%?
They've changed it a couple times.
It's 85% at $3.5 billion. You know, that's almost $500 million you're still getting taxed on. That's a lot of tax. $500 million still. And you know how many jobs they're creating?
From what I understand, if we're being charitable, it's probably 100 jobs. That's a shift work.
It's a lot more than that. They're going to have 800 full-time electricians.
Yeah, well, they were supposed to have 500 full-time employees at the Great Lakes Cheese Factory, and they got 300.
Okay, well, it's still 300 jobs.
See, here's where it gets to it, though. They make deals like that, right? And they come in first and they tell the community, we're going to bring 500 jobs to this community, and we're going to get this grant, right? And so they do that. Well, then we have lobbyists, and they have people that know how to work that. And so then the deal gets brought down to say, well, hang on a minute. What if we just bring 75% of jobs? And people go, well, that's 300 jobs. And they go, well, that's great. It's 300 jobs. Well, they still get to enjoy that grant without having to contribute. And for me personally, I think that, I say personally, but if I run 2 businesses, if I make a deal with somebody, I don't get to do that. It's you pay what you owe, or you pay the loan back. No, nobody else gets treated that way.
That part is true But we're talking about a whole different type of deal here. This ain't a business loan. This is a job.
Sure.
This is to ensure jobs. The AI Center, I looked this up last night. I did some studying on this. Is supposed to bring in, I can't remember the jobs. I had all this stuff down. I've got to go through each deal. But anyways, they're going to bring in so many jobs at $57,000 a year. Guaranteed jobs at $15,000, $57,000 a year. Them electricians ain't working for $57,000 a year.
And they're also not going to be there once it's built. They're gone.
No. They have to have them at these data centers. They
not
have
the amount of people they have now.
No,
though.
well, of course not. It's a 3.5 billion. I think there's probably 4,000 people working over there right now.
Right, yeah, all the contractors and stuff.
But yeah, those people are going to come and go. But the reason these towns do it, Abilene wasn't the only person that tried to get this position. Everybody wants these data centers. My biggest problem is not tax dollars or water. Water is my biggest issue.
That's my biggest
because
issue.
they've got to get water to make these things run.
So,
but it's going to provide good jobs.
Can I ask you then? Because that also is an issue, and I'll say this:
Lake Fort, they get it from Lake Fort Phantom, right?
That's the thing. There's not a lot of clear information about where it's really like how this is going to work. Now, I've spoken to people that work at the water department, and I've been told like it shouldn't affect like the city's water, like in Abilene in particular, right? But what's happening is this is how it's been. So it's a loop system, right? They take so much water offline, they put it in there, and then they never have to pull from it again unless
once they get it,
top it off, right? Well, if your concern is water, we're getting 3 data centers. By the way, 3. There's a 1,200 acre one going to go off in Looters, I believe.
Yes.
So if the main concern is water, I say again, then why are we doing this? Why is this the deal we make? Okay, I understand that it's a loop system, and that's really all good. But if we have 200 data centers in Texas, and let's say we be conservative and they only take 1 million gallons offline.
What are they saying? It's like 3, isn't it?
It's 3 to 5. I think at most it goes up to 5 million. So they're taking that offline. So we're missing all of that. I'm not even going to do the math, but it's millions of gallons of water, and we're in a water crisis.
We're with you on the water
for sure. That's another thing that's like, why are these the decisions that you go? We're in a water crisis. You know what we do? Let's ramp up the AIs that take water offline, and then make decisions. And this kind of gets back to being in particular why I'm running as a Democrat. The Republicans in power, and that's the ones that are in power. And that's an incumbent also that I'm running against. I don't feel like have taken any of this stuff into consideration. They go, well, industry. But you guys are concerned about water, and you're throwing money and brakes at an industry that is going to use the thing that we are running out of. And you don't think I'll give you an example. So there's been a bill passed that will allow treated frac wastewater to be used on irrigation. Now, the science behind the people that have taught, they've done it for a while. Frac companies usually do it. They'll take it to a treatment plant, run it through, rerun it, right? And that's to be kind of environmentally conscious. And that's a great thing. They got to pay for that. And they don't make money off of that. So we pass a bill that says, well, you know what we should do? We should use that water that y'all are using, treat it, and put it on irrigation water, which, by the way, is too expensive for farmers to afford in the first place.
Lubbock has a gray water irrigation. Their pivots outside of Lubbock are gray water.
Yeah, right. And I don't know how much I like my crops being grown on gray water, especially considering that we're deregulating insecticides as well.
The gray water that they're doing is coming out of their septic systems, the same thing, or their sewage systems, same thing as you putting cow manure on it.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same deal. But the city of Benjamin is on reverse osmosis. The whole town is on Benjamin. Nobody likes to drink poop water. I agree with you on that. I drink bottled water anyways, but
which is worse for you.
Yeah, I mean, because it's got microplastics.
You got all that good stuff.
But let's go back to the water deal. Now, one of the things is a private company is fixing to build a lake bigger than Possum Kingdom between Stanfield and Abilene.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be on the Crooked River Ranch. They're in the I think they're in the final phase of getting it all done. So, but they're going to build a big lake there. So that's where a lot of the water coming from. And a private industry is going to sell their water, I'm assuming, to the AI centers. Probably is what we're not hearing about.
Yeah.
But water is an issue. I have a problem with water. I don't have a problem at all with them building the AI centers because we need the jobs out here. Because these mom and pop businesses, there's nothing for them here. You were talking about earlier about these small towns. These small towns are going broke. You know why, Riley? Where's your gym at?
It's in Abilene.
Why don't you put it in Knox City, where you grew up at, or Albany, or Seymour? Because there's not enough people.
Well, for me, I don't have the money I don't have the capital.
Okay,
I don't have the capital to buy if I was going to put a gym here in Knox City, it would cost me at least $100,000.
And you'd go broke because there's nobody here. There's not enough people here.
I'd have to charge. Yeah, I'd have to charge too much to do it.
But you asked. There's nothing going on in these small towns, but that's why. It's not because of the opportunity. There's an opportunity to open up anything you have here. You could put a Macy's in Knox City. You could put a Gucci here. There ain't nobody to buy nothing because there's not enough people here no more. These little towns are dying because people like you and Zach, your best friend Zach, my son. Why don't y'all live in Knox City? There's no opportunities here.
Well, Zach lives in Throgmorton. I mean, it's not like Zach's living in the metropolis of.
Okay, let's rephrase. The kids you graduated with them, how many of them still live back here in these towns?
Well, they all moved. They've all moved
because opportunities. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking y'all at all on that. I'm just saying I was a mayor for a long time, so I understand how a lot of these small towns goes. And I was a part of some things where we done some tax deals to get people here. It's hard to sustain businesses in small towns.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
the problem is we were in an agriculture area.
And oil that went away.
Oil went away.
They got most of the production out here that they're going to get.
Yeah.
But when you look at the ag thing, like my grandfather still has all the property that he had when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So there hadn't been any new land come up. And any land that has come up, it's been ridiculous. So I couldn't get into farming right now. I couldn't have gotten into farming 15 years ago. There was no land, number one, to farm. And the cost to like even get started, you're looking at a couple $1 million just in loans on equipment, not even your land.
If you want to make $1 million farming, you got to lose $10 million to make it almost.
Right.
I mean, that's basically it's an invest. But back to the jobs.
But when to finish my point, back when my grandfather was a kid, though, there was that opportunity to expand what your dad had already done, what your family had already done, because there was land and it didn't cost an arm and a leg.
And a bushel of wheat cost almost what it costs now, but farm diesel was 15 cents.
No, cotton. What's it, 60 something, and it takes about over $1 to grow it.
It's terrible.
I guess I wouldn't even say pushback, but my perspective on that is, I get that there's a lack of opportunity, but to use an example, and I know it's Abilene, but it is an example. There's also an issue with mom and pops getting squeezed out because there's still a store here. There's still a Dollar General, and there's still
them out.
Private equity firms. They come in, and this is what happens because Bible Hardware. Y'all know Bible Hardware, right? Well, they're not Bible Hardware anymore. They're Ace Hardware. Right?
But why'd they sell?
They can't afford it. They can't afford to be there because they've opened up so what I've from the research I've done, what tends to happen is these private equity owned, conglomerates will come in and they can bleed, and they'll just bleed, and they'll bleed, and they'll bleed because everybody's going to go there to buy their tools because Bible Hardware can't keep up, or whatever, whoever it is, the local grocery, whatever you want to call it. And they'll bleed that money because they can afford it, because they have all the capital in the world they need. And once they've bled and bled and bled, then that business will go, well, hell, I can't afford this anymore because each year my taxes are going up, and people are going over there to Walmart to shop instead, and I can't compete with their prices. Maybe they're $2 cheaper, whatever.
But what's the answer?
The answer would be holding these corporations more accountable for a symbiotic relationship with the communities that they're moving into.
But how do you? It's capitalism. I know.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Walmart came in. I'll give you an example. Walmart, when I was a kid, there wasn't a Walmart in Wichita Falls. Walmart was in Iowa Park and Burke Burnett. Iowa Park and Burke Burnett set up these big tax deals, save them some money, come there. For 10 or 20 years, they're in Iowa Park and Burke Burnett. And they thrive. But what happened in Iowa Park and Burke Burnett was all the mom and pop stores went out of business because they couldn't compete with Walmart. And then guess what? When Walmart decided they were going to leave there and go to Wichita Falls, what did they do? They left, and then they left a big void of mom and pop stores in those little small towns. Don't like it, but that's the way it goes. My grandma told me. I bet I was 12 or 14 years old.
I don't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I don't want to. I don't mean to, but
go ahead.
That right there is my problem. That's just the way it goes.
But
it
life.
doesn't. It doesn't. Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, because it doesn't go that way for them. It doesn't. I'm a millennial. I watched 2008 happen. I watched all these places that sold everybody out and put 67-year-old people like a boss of mine, Audrey, back in the workforce because they lost all their money right in the housing market, and it didn't go like that for them. They should have all failed, but yet we still have them. And so when you say
we have what?
We still have these conglomerates, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. All of these people,
all these. We're talking about Walmart or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac?
I mean, they're all. I'm going to be
talking about the entity as
the
a whole.
entity of
we weren't talking housing. We were talking business
elite wealth.
at the time.
Yeah, the industry of elite wealth, right? And now I'm not talking millionaires. I'm talking people rich with a B, not millionaires. But those people, it didn't go that way for them. So my perspective is, why is it that there can't be any kind of a break for a legacy business? Maybe I'm not saying a business has been open 1 year. Hey, I need help. Well, you need to run a better, right? But a business like Bible Hardware is a legacy business in that it's part of that community. What's so wrong with us giving them some kind of break? It doesn't have to be money. But it could be money if you held billion-dollar corporations to a higher fiscal standard like the rest of us are held to. But it could be in the form of a break. Hey, are your taxes going up like they are in Abilene every year? Are your taxes going up? Well, how about this? You've been open 75 years. What if we gave you 20% off this year so that you can make it work? And if they fail, okay. But to sit here and be like, well, that's just the way it is, and that's just how business goes. It doesn't work that way for them. They get breaks.
I'm gonna go back to the Walmart.
Yeah, go
deal.
for it.
My grandma told me when I was there at 12 in a little town in Buffalo, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
She's told, and I remember her telling me this. She was talking to my dad. She goes, "Oh, I love going to Walmart in Chanute. They just opened up a Walmart in Chanute." She goes, "I love it over there." She goes, "I can go there and I can buy groceries over there. I can buy stuff for Christmas cards, blah blah." Same reason people go to Dollar General in Knox City, because you can get something you can't get here. So if Michelle, we don't have kids school. Reese has got a kid in his class has got a birthday party he gets invited to. Jesse don't have to drive all the way to Stanford to go to Walmart. We don't have no other mom and pop stores that sell that kind of stuff here.
We could.
They could make it. There's not enough people here.
I mean, Dollar General makes it just fine.
They don't have to make a profit like the other ones do.
And that's kind of how.
But if Dollar General closed, when Dollar General wasn't here, we had Perry's when I first moved to Knox City. Perry's went out of business in Knox City because they couldn't make it. Then we had Duck Walls. Duck Walls couldn't make it here because they didn't have the business. Then we had what was it called? We had Hometown something or another.
Don't get me wrong.
There's a group. There's a store that's in a chain in the Dakotas, and some local guys found out about it.
Yeah, I remember
Hometown
that.
Hometown Variety Store.
Yeah, it had the red sign and all that.
And it was all set up. The original business plan is pretty good out of North Dakota, South Dakota. Everybody in town buys a part of the deal. You can buy $1,000 and buy a share of the deal.
Right. So
everybody goes in, they get 300 people in the community to buy $1,000 in. They open up a store. It's community owned. You probably don't ever get your $1,000 back, but they sell hometown stuff. But they could have the purchasing power to compete against Dollar General and Walmart. And Dollar General is the second biggest box store in the country when it comes to sales. And every little town has got one. Some of them got two. But anyways, so we had one of those here, but we only had 10 people that buy it in. They kind of closed it to just the 10 people.
Right.
Well, it didn't make it, But if
they closed it to the 10 people, as in they didn't let any, or that was just
they did their business plan with just a few select people, and they lost the money. Everybody that put in on it, so they didn't do nothing wrong. They just But I think if they'd opened it up to everybody, more people would have felt inclined to go down there. Oh, Grandpa owns part of that. Let's go down there and buy something from there.
It'd be easy now, Jeff. You're talking like socialist now.
No, I'm not either, because it was
the community owns the means of production.
No, the community all owned that
That's
store.
That's a great idea, by the way. I like that.
The community owned the store, so you would feel more apt to go down to where you've invested your $1,000 to buy from yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, people there were like, well, I can go to Walmart. It makes 10 cents cheaper. But if you sense that your family owned a little piece of that, everybody does it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It was great, but it didn't work here because of that. But anyways, we didn't have the people here. Well, everybody was driving, and then Dollar General opened. Well, Dollar General's got a good business model. Every Dollar General, every Walmart, everything that you're against, that you vilify, started out with a guy doing a one-man stop.
I'm not vilifying them. I'm not vilifying them. They do well. Like, it's not as if they don't provide a service, and that's what I think gets lost in the conversation. It's not as if I'm talking about. I don't think of these places as a dude sitting in a top skyscraper rubbing his mustache going, how can I screw people over? I think that they play within the guidelines that they're allowed, right?
I think our president said that best when they were bitching about his taxes.
Exactly.
He goes, hey,
it's
I didn't make the rules.
Created, right.
He said, I just played by your rules.
Exactly. And I think of them, if I had to like characterize it, it's more like at that level, it's more like a robot. What's my bottom line doing? Is it going up, or am I making money? Am I not making money? Well, then we're going to make these decisions. And they're just going to keep going, which is why I think, first of all, people need to really pay more attention to their state politics, because this is where these decisions get made. National politics is all fun, but people are making decisions in your area. Like, these decisions affect you. And so I don't see them as a villain. I just say, hey, these things are available to them, and they're not available. These are things that are available for people that have the resources already, right? If you and Andy want to buy 900 acres, but you don't have the money to pay those property taxes, what did they tell you?
But what am I going to do with the 900 acres? That's what I'm
whatever
saying.
you want to do. That's not the point. Is not what you want to do with it. The point is that you are a person starting a business, and it doesn't have to be. Okay, you're gonna. Actually, it'd be good. You bring money to this community. You bring tourists, or hunters. You bring tourism dollars.
Yeah, we're the biggest tourist place in Knox County.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about that.
So you would have a good reason to be like, hey, I need more hunting available, because and the more hunting I have available, the more hunters I can bring, the more I can boost this economy.
Yeah, but it's different because it's a different model, because it's not public hunting.
But why does you're getting at. Right? But why does it? That's my point, though. Is it doesn't have to be public hunting. You're helping the public.
Well, but it's a different thing, because the public doesn't own land that we would go lease, so it's a completely different deal.
But where they're not just spending their money here, they're going to
your dollar turns over
Esmeralda.
7 times in the community. That's my point right there. You just said it. They're putting $3.5 billion into construction in Abilene. Mm-hmm. That dollar's going to turn over 7 times. Excuse me. There's 5,000 people going to be on there when they get going. All the construction guys. That's 5,000 jobs. A lot of jobs. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys I saw talking about this the other day on something else, he goes, yeah, but those are just temporary jobs, some of them. It's still 5,000 temporary freaking jobs. If you want to talk about temporary jobs, what about Midland and Odessa? They built an oil well here. They're doing here. The wind farms. Build a farm here. How many guys do you think work on the wind farms around here? Actually work full-time? Very few. Oh. I mean, there's not very few 5, 10 full-time jobs. Where an oil well, like when Kinder Morgan was thriving right out here, there was 50 people working there all the time, full-time employees.
Yeah, running the service.
Windmills don't produce any full-time jobs, but they're still jobs. So we're going to be different on the AI deal. I think that what they're doing at the AI thing, I think Abilene, other than the water issue, I think it's a great project. If you were building a nuclear power plant out here, which I wish they would build, I would be all for it. It's going to create full-time jobs. But there's still jobs here. Mm-hmm. I don't like the big corporations no more than you do. But that's the world we live in. But every corporation out there, billionaire corporation, every billionaire earned his money, somebody, by doing something. Some right or some wrong.
There are some out there that earn their money doing something. There are others who just have it.
Somebody earned that money.
Yeah, a long time ago.
But it don't matter, though. If Roy would have been a billionaire and he'd have left Riley Rodriquez $1 billion, he made it himself. Riley's got little Riley out there, and he lives off Grandpa's money. You don't think Chili would have wanted your grandsons to have grandsons to have?
Raising your children and having a giving money to your children that you raise and having a symbiotic relationship with the population around you are two different things. Yeah, I want to pass my money down to somebody, but that's not the point, right? Like, we're not arguing capital gains tax. We're talking about people that have whose decisions affect an entire percentage of a population. Like, your decisions don't affect really anybody when you decide to do. But if a $1 billion corporation decides they don't need 500 employees or whatever that might be, they can make those decisions and affect way more people. So passing your money down to your kids and cutting however many jobs to save money on your bottom line, those aren't the same thing.
But that business is owned. If it's a private company, then somebody is making that decision. If it's a public company, and I've invested my money into stock market to buy stocks, then by God, that's what they're supposed to do, is make me money. That's what the whole thing is about. That's why the people that own Tesla stock were pissed off about Elon Musk, because, well, Elon, he shouldn't be involved like this. The stock price is going to go down, and that affects us. You're investing your money. So if it's a public traded company, then they're supposed to do what's best for their stockholders. Am I right on that, Andy? You're supposed to make money. You and Jesse invest your money. Do you want to put it in a stock that someone's nice and keeping people employed and the stock price goes down because they're not making as much money? Or do you want one that's going to make a profit?
Well, I'm a greedy capitalist.
Of course you are.
But, yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, Donald Trump, private company. Not talking about President Trump. I'm talking about his business. Right, sure. And people, well, he's went bankrupt in 12 businesses. Yeah, but he's got 800 of them that are successful. You find me anybody out there that'll open up 100 businesses and they lose 10 and they make money in 90, they're going to go with that 90 every time. Mm-hmm. The guy's a great businessman, a great real estate guy. He's a smart guy. If he makes a decision, it's on his own because it's himself. And everybody says, well, Donald Trump was born on third base. He got $10 million or $100 million. He's worth $5 billion plus. He's done something right. Everybody that's wealthy in this world, nobody, unless you win the lottery, somebody busted their ass and their family to make that money. I don't want some politician telling me that if I made $10 billion and I give it to Andy Payne and Zach, that them boys shouldn't be able to get that money because I made it. That's wrong. And I don't like inheritance tax. But we'll flip off jobs. We'll talk about you're running as a Democrat because I got a lot of questions as a Democrat. Go ahead.
By the way, I'm not telling. I just want to make clear. I'm not telling you can't do that.
No. I know that, but
just for
he doesn't have a problem.
You don't
with
know
private wealth.
You don't know. You know what you say, but you don't know what people hear. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to that we should be taxing the hell out of your inheritance. If you paid taxes on it once, you shouldn't pay taxes on it again. What I am saying though is we are held to a different standard than with less resources than people with more resources.
Are you talking about corporations or people?
No, he's talking about corporations.
Thank you.
Okay,
he's not talking about
what I'm
people.
clarifying.
That's what's getting muddied up here.
Go ahead, Andy.
You're gerrymandering the private wealth scenario into what Riley is saying as corporations having these tax breaks. He's never said, like he said, that if you're worth $1 billion, that you shouldn't be able to pass on a majority of that to your kids and grandkids. But what he is saying is that corporations play by a different set of rules by mom and pop who is trying to scrape around and make ends meet.
And
I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
No, I agree with you. But they create a ton of jobs. Like Shell Oil Company, they probably made $7 billion last quarter on profits. And they're like, well, god dang, it's because gas costs too much.
And oil's down $60 a barrel, I think now.
Who makes more money off of a gallon of gas, Shell or the U.S. government?
I wouldn't know, honestly.
The U.S. government does.
I would assume so.
Yeah, and the state of Texas does because they tax it. I don't know what the profit is on a gallon of gas, but I'll bet it's less than a dime. Can you look that up?
I'll try to.
But I'll bet you. But federal taxes.
Jamie, look that up.
But the federal taxes is more than that.
Yeah.
I hate our government. Our government's the biggest frauds. We talked about this the other day with the lottery.
Yeah.
Someone won $1.6 billion in the lottery the other day. They're going to get $300 million.
Yeah.
Well, over $1 billion that was taxes.
Yeah.
So the government didn't buy a ticket and they hit the lottery on it. But I want to talk to you about Democratic Party stuff.
Go for it.
Okay. The Democratic Party, my problem is when I was a kid growing up, the Democrats and Republicans were not that far apart. There was a few social issues. I think the Democratic Party has made two big FUBUs in our life that screwed up us up more than anything. And the first thing that they did that screwed our life up was the stupid ass welfare stuff in the 60s. We took a whole group of people and we told them it'd be better not to work and we'll let you have kids and we'll pay you a percentage for every time you have a child. And then we've gotten into WIC, we've gotten into SNAP. And before we get anything, I'm not against anybody eating. As far as I'm concerned, you ought to give every American a $100 food stamp card and every one of them get $100 a week in food. It would help the farmers out. It would make sure everybody's not hungry, but everybody gets it across the board. We don't give you a bonus.
It's like a universal basic income.
I wouldn't have a problem on giving food stamps. So that's my socialist view that I'm for that. I don't want to see no kid go hungry, but you can't sell the damn things. If you get caught selling your food stamps, you ought to go to prison for the rest of your life. I mean, I really am strongly against that, but I think we ought to feed people. I don't want to see nobody hungry. The homeless problem in our country is a problem of methamphetamines more than anything. There are people that are down and out, and rent has gotten really expensive for a lot of people and homeless. But we also got to come to a time where everybody's accountable. That's my other problem I have with the Democratic Party. They always want to hand everything out, but there's not an answer. Their biggest problem I see with the Democratic Party is the same thing all the time. Vilify the big corporations, vilify the billionaires that are rich, and there's more billionaires give money to the Democratic Party than they do the Republican Party.
And give them to both parties.
No, both of them do, but there's more going to all the wealthy Hollywood people are all Democrats.
There's literally George Soros is on a couple of Republican.
He gets,
that's just it's a fun. It's
but George
ironic
Soros,
to me. Yeah.
George Soros is camping with the Democrats.
Everybody camps with somebody,
right? But he's a big Democrat,
right?
But we vilify all the super uber wealthy people, Republicans, and that's not the reality. I'm tired of giving away. People need to get off their ass and go to work. There's no reason for people to get free braces for their teeth. That's the stupidest shit in the world. Why don't we just give them fake tits too? I mean, I don't understand.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I don't understand the braces.
Wait, what can you get behind?
The fake tits.
Yeah,
just give them out.
There's people that have kids that got 3 or 4 sets of braces. Guess who had to pay my kids' braces? Me. They weren't going to give me no money. I didn't make enough for free. I didn't make enough that it wasn't hurting me to pay for $20,000 for 3 kids to get braces. but I make too much for me to get them free. But somebody that don't work and sits on their ass, their kids get free braces. Not only do they get free braces, but they give them a check to drive to go to an orthodontist from Knox City. So if you've got 3 kids for braces in Knox City, you're getting about $500 a month for gas money to go back and forth. That's bullshit. And I have a real problem with that. Transgender shit. I got a real issue with that. We shouldn't be paying any money for someone to get their junk cut off. If you want to get your junk cut off and pay for it, I don't care. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care if you're gay or you're straight, but I shouldn't have to pay for that shit. We shouldn't have parades for you because you're gay. You know? Do we have one because you banged some cheerleader when you're in high school?
That's not a government policy.
No, but they support
a personal opinion.
I'm telling you why my problem is some of my problems with the Democratic Party. They support and push this shit.
But is the Democratic Party being like, hey, we've got to have a parade?
Do we live in my question is, do we live in America or do we live in
I don't want to pay for it.
You're not paying for a pride parade.
The government pays for tons of this shit.
I can tell you right now, the government is not giving any money to the pride parade that's going to happen.
Not now, they're not.
They've never have. They literally
the national LGBTQIA stuff was getting so much money from USAID. It was big as shit. They come up with these NGOs and all that's on Democrats. I'm not taking up for Republicans because there ain't very many fucking Republicans I got used for either. But this is the kind of crap that I'm sick of. I'm tired of it, and most Americans did, and that's why y'all lost the last election, the Democrats, not you in general. And that's why they're going to probably.
I've voted on both sides,
and you should. And that's another problem I have with politicians in general. I don't know how anybody votes for stuff on party lines. If you're a Republican in North Dakota and a Republican in California, y'all have got to have different things, different ideas. If you're a Democrat in New York City and you're a Democrat in West Texas, you have to have different politics that you support. Right. But it never happens. They straight down party lines.
And especially with state elections.
And that wears me the hell out.
And that's, to get to what you're saying, I guess I did say never. I'm not aware of government providing. Everything I've ever seen with pride parades, even big ones, is constant. Like, hey, can donate. There's groups that form, and they build their own thing. And I don't have a problem with it because we live in a place where there's freedom of expression. You can do whatever it's a public street, and either the public has access or it doesn't. And I understand that people have their issues, ideological, social issues with some of this stuff, but you can either the public has access or it doesn't. And sadly, I'm sorry to tell some people, those people are part of the public, and if they want to express themselves, then they should be able to. Once we start telling people, well, you can't express yourself because I don't really like the way that you do it, and you're doing it on the street that I like to be on. Well, they may not like a bunch of Trump flags running around. They may not like a bunch of MAGA hats. And they shouldn't also be able to tell you, I don't like what you're doing, so get off my street. That's not how that works. You either have freedom or you don't.
Yeah, I don't mind them doing what they want, but we don't fund none of it. And the government funds a lot of this shit.
And that's fine.
And I'm tired of it. It's kind of like the Jimmy Kimmel deal. I think Jimmy Kimmel has a right to say what he wants. But is it ABC or CBS? Who do you work for?
ABC.
But ABC is losing money on his show because people like me don't watch that crap no more.
Well, people don't watch late night in general.
Bingo. They don't. Right. But I don't want to sit there and listen to him freaking.
Man, that's fine.
He lied about the deal with the shooter. Was a gay guy living with a guy that was trans boyfriend, which means a gay dude. I don't understand why it's a trans boy. Just a gay guy that was wanting to get some tits sewn on. But anyways, that's who he lived with. So he lied when he said it was a MAGA shooter and stuff. That's what got him in trouble, was lying. But that gave ABC an excuse to get rid of him. They didn't care what he did. They were waiting for him to screw up because they were losing so much money because of him, just like Stephen Colbert. Because people don't watch late night no more.
Well, yeah, but there's something to be said about the fact that is it NBC or CBS that had Colbert?
I think
it's CBS. Well, CBS is in the middle of a merger that the president is going to sign off on. And he said, and he did want Colbert off the air. So there's something to be said. $15 million
a year.
I mean, there's something to be said about both sides of that, right? But it's also true that they were working on $1 billion merger that Stephen Colbert being on their network was kind of throwing a wrench in, and with
losing $15 million a year.
And to go back to what you said about the shooter. And all of that. I just want to point out to everybody, because everybody apparently feels the need to really, I say everybody, our national politicians feel the need to really point this out every time they say it. So I'd like to point out that the people that they are trying to vilify right? They're trying to point all. You've got Nancy Mace out there, basically saying to commit violence against a group of people who have zero power. Zero.
Who?
They are transgender people. They have zero power. They are not even a full decimal point of our population. Is also one of the people who helped bring the alleged killer in. If it hadn't have been for that person giving all the evidence that seems to be really, really, really like on exactly the narrative, we can talk about that later, is also is a person who's transgender that they're vilifying. Oh, well, these people are bad. You know, our president is saying that we should take guns away from them. When the NRA has to come out and be like, yo, to the Republican Party, you're getting wild.
One thing about that is Trump is a master at painting people into a corner, because on a large scale, most of the time, if you talk to anybody that's anti-gun, most of the time they lean left. So what Trump does is he'll say something like that to make the left support gun rights. So it's kind of like a
Sure.
sleight of hand.
Sure, yeah.
Trump is a master at that. And a lot of times people will, he did something.
He's always up to something.
Yeah, he's always up
He
to
made
something.
somebody
There was
support something that they were
something
totally
that they were
against.
totally against. I can't remember what he did that with.
Was it the Muslims with Israel or something?
I can't. It might have been, but he's a master at, okay, you're against guns. Well, let's take guns away from transgenders, and now you got to pick a side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's a game about.
I don't think he's serious about it. I think he's just playing with. I think he's just playing with them.
I think that it's a game of absolutes. We all like to deal in absolutes,
Yes,
right? It's
correct.
either this or that, and the
Right.
fact of the matter is, it's not.
No,
It's
most of the
both-
world
it's
is
both
gray.
things, right? Like
Right.
it's what you're saying, Jeff, about like the hometowns. People are leaving. Part of that is because jobs, but part of that is because it's not. We can't live here anymore either. Like it's not as if those both those things aren't happening. And my point is, we can do something to mitigate some of those things, right? There's nothing. Nobody says that people shouldn't get industry or whatever shouldn't get a tax break. But what we do say is, like, you don't eat at a restaurant that's got a D rating for their health, do you? Right. So what did we do? We put a little guardrails on. Hey, how about the level of poop in our food is not zero, by the way. But how about we get it as close to zero as we can, guys?
Flowers all got rash in it.
Sure.
But
so that's kind of what I'm saying is, it's like we're speaking in absolutes when there's so much nuance to this situation. And just to be clear, it's been a week and a half. Mm-hmm. You know, like all the information that has come out has been pretty convenient, to say the least, and pointing in a different direction.
You don't think the trans guy shot him, or the gay dude? You don't think that kid shot Charlie Kirk?
That's what they say, and so that's all we can go off of.
I think there's
something
some
deeper.
big gray area on that. I think the kid was involved, like Lee Harvey Oswald was involved. I think he was there, and I think he was involved. But was he the only one involved? I don't know yet, and I don't think
there's a lot of things.
And I'll be honest, as somebody who's trying to be in a public office, I don't feel it's what would you call it? Right to wildly speculate, because people start listening to you officially, and you can muddy the waters. I don't know what happened. I will say these things. It is a very convenient that the entire motive is typed out in a text message, and there was a letter, but we can't find it now. We only have a picture of it. So there are some weird things, but it's a week and a half in, and if it's anything, it's for sure a failing in security measures.
Well, the guy,
regardless,
he didn't
anything.
have Secret Service stuff.
No, for sure.
But my deal is with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel has a right to say what he says.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Kimmel is the biggest fraud on TV, and I'll tell you why. I watched The Man Show.
Yeah.
So don't give me your workbook.
I remember.
Yeah.
You're not giving me. I watched The Man Show. It's the irony is not lost on me, Jeff.
And Howard Stern's the same way. He's a cuck in my book. I can't stand the guy. The guy's
You know what a cuck is?
Yes, and he's a fake.
He did trash
No, that's not-
podcasting
what?
when it first started.
Yeah, he did. He did everything about him.
Hold on. What is
That's
a
his
cuck?
boy. You can't just go after Howard.
Ain't it a gay dude? You tell me what a cuck is.
Cuck is a guy that likes to watch his girl get railed by another dude.
Well, he probably is that too.
Okay. But you didn't know what a cuck was.
No, I guess I was wrong then. I thought it was a guy that went to a glory hole. But anyway,
I mean, realistically,
I
he
don't-
could still be one and gay.
Yes, I don't. Howard Stern's the biggest sellout in the world, because when Howard Stern first come out, he could have sat right in this room and talked about everything would have been okay. And then he started judging all these people after all the shit he'd get them to talk about. And I don't have no have no use for him. I think he's a dickhead. I don't have no use for him. And Jimmy Kimmel's in the same boat. They're sellouts.
Yeah.
And so I don't like either one of them because I knew what they were like before and then how they judged everyone else and got woke on me. Don't have no use for them. But so Jimmy Kimmel had that right. But I understand ABC was losing millions and millions of dollars. Stephen Colbert got rid of because he was losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. Whether what his beef is with the president or nothing. But I think we're on a slippery slope right now with this stuff. If you're telling one group that they can do it to fire people and get rid of them, I don't like that. And I've said that before. I'm not comfortable with that because I remember a couple of years ago when everything we did on YouTube got everything we did got demonetized. And then on my Facebook, I was kicked off Facebook all the time for saying that
you be going live
the COVID vaccine,
wild on Facebook, Jeff.
COVID vaccine is not safe and good for you. You need to take ivermectin. Boy, medical disinformation, you're on a 2-week timeout. Guess what? Every fucking thing I said and we talked about is exactly the truth and right. But the liberals were running things and they had a thumb on everybody, and because the White House wasn't letting them talk about shit like that, which is all coming out too. I think we're in the same boat right now, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I want us to have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech doesn't come out with freedom of consequences. Jimmy Kimmel, if he had the ratings Johnny Carson did in 1978, they wouldn't take him off the air. Do you think they would?
But do you think, along with the free speech, do you think that there is a responsibility to make sure that it is accurate speech?
Yes, and that's where
Jimmy Kimmel, it gets gray.
And that's right. And that's
like if you go to if you look back at the COVID thing, which we all know 5 years later was not what we thought that it was gonna. It's not what they were painting it as. You know what I mean? Like if you get the COVID vaccine, you still got COVID. Well, it's not a fucking vaccine if you still get it, right? So
well, it's like the way I understand it is it's not when we get the flu you still get the flu, right? And that's so for me, I don't understand why everybody started to change their definition of a vaccine when it became COVID. Everybody understood that you were getting a weakened version of the flu, you would still get the flu and then handle it.
I think that they were thinking more along the lines of like polio and some of the other vaccines that kids get.
And that's
you get this vaccine and you don't get that. But so anyway, back to COVID. If you rewind the clock 5 years, we didn't have the information. I think a lot of people were just kind of going along with what information was available at that time. It's easy now, 5 years removed from it, to be like, yeah, that was all bullshit. We should have never locked down. We should have, if you look at the way that anything is spread, the best way to do it is to get it and to build your immunity.
Herd immunity.
From it. Right. But it's easy to say now. But back then, I think that everybody, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Trump that shut everything down.
Yes, it was. I'm just saying, I know what it feels like when everything you put is kicked off.
But that you're looking at it in a lens 5 years away from what had happened. And you just said that free speech comes with a responsibility of being accurate speech.
Oh, hold on. Now, this is a opinion show. This is me and Andy's opinions on every fucking thing we talk about. Jimmy Kimmel on ABC in talking facts about that shooter, he's a MAGA, white conservative, blah, blah, blah.
He shouldn't have said that
was all
because
lies.
nothing was out. Nothing was out.
There wasn't enough information for anybody to make
when
these
he came out with this shit 3 nights ago, he knew damn well it was a lie.
Because Stephen King also, he made a tweet about something, and then he redacted that tweet and said, I was wrong in what I said.
Yes. Jimmy Kimmel knew what he said was a flat freaking lie, and he lied about it. Where they got their ass was, and this is what nobody's really talking about, ABC's got a license from the FCC, and they've got a news department. It was, and he was false lie. It was false news is what he was doing. So when he was that propaganda he was talking about was a flat bullshit lie, and he knew it. And that's where they got ABC by the balls. And this is what I don't like. I don't like if the White House called ABC and said, listen, we're fixing to pull your FCC license, and all ABC is going to be off the news if you're going to spread this out. Well, the Jewish people that run ABC, the big money people, and that's what they are, I'm promising you, if you look at it, they were like, whoa, hold on here. We got $1 billion a year we're making right here. We're fixing, or more than that probably, we're fixing to lose if they pull that FCC license. He's losing us $50 million a year anyways being on anymore because we can't sell ads on there no more. Yank his ass out. And that's what it's come down to. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm a conservative because just the little bit of the deep stuff we went with our YouTube channel pissed me off all the time. And this was at a level 1,000 times more, because eventually, no offense, Riley, the wacko Democrats are going to be in charge again one day. And when they are, I don't want them coming after us for the things that we said or do. I think you should have free speech, but there's a freedom of consequences. If me and Andy say something on this show and people don't like it, all they're going to do is not listen to our show, or they're going to hurt Stanfield Hunting Outfitters. That affects us, nobody else.
They could go for sponsors.
Well,
They've done that before.
Yeah, and they can. But if our sponsors leave, it affects me and you.
Yeah, it doesn't affect.
Nobody else. It's our own.
It's all about setting a precedent, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on. Like for me personally, I fall on when it was happening. 10 years, whatever it was, 4 or 5 years ago. And conservative people were losing their jobs. That was wrong, because we live in a society, and suffering consequences for the things you say is one thing, but like you're saying, like just ripping things. Nope, don't put that out because Daddy says no. Yeah, that's not how that works.
I don't like that. But if you work for someone else,
yeah. And if you suffer the consequences for it, then it turns out everybody is okay with a little bit of canceling, and it's called. it turns out we're all okay with just a little bit of it.
Yeah,
but. Somebody coined this the other day. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the show Breaking Points. It's a new show that I like to listen to, but it's got both sides. They've been on Rogan before.
Yeah.
But
what's
Sauger and Crystal?
Yes.
But Sauger, I guess he's coined a term, but he calls it consequence culture, right? Where it's like there's something to be said for freedom of speech, and depending on the public or the arena that you're involved in, I think really should determine, right? If you were about to say teacher. If you're a teacher and you're like celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, you're probably going to get fired.
You should get fired. I got no problem with that.
And because you're teaching children.
Kimmel didn't celebrate him dying.
No, for sure.
And so that's a completely
exactly deal. Yeah. And I don't think anybody has I don't really see any pushback on that, except for people who are extreme and are like, nope. And they just have no self-awareness of irony and like how you're literally behaving the same way as some of it. Because some of it isn't, right? Whatever you think about Charlie Kirk, some people would just post a picture and a quote of his. Well, that's different than celebrating his death. And if you don't like the quote, that's fine. But they didn't say this should have happened to this person. So there's a weird line we're figuring out as a culture that we're going to have a national conversation over on what is considered consequential speech and what is considered just speaking your mind, what is considered dangerous and perilous to other people. Not to. In 2022, our state senator said that in regards to immigration enforcement, said that he found this joke funny on record. Like, this is how funny he found it. Was somebody suggested to me that it should be shoot, shovel, and shut up. That's how. And then they had a nice little chuckle about it. And then we were like, well, in all seriousness, all joking aside, that's not funny because you're an official.
Yeah,
and nobody. I don't think you would agree with that. I'm just saying,
I don't agree with
it's a good example of where that's dangerous, and I'm glad you apologize for it. But this example a week ago is a perfect example of why that is dangerous. And so I think we're going to have a national, but it shouldn't be a governmental conversation calling Jeff and Andy and saying, shut up, don't say that. Right. It should be a national,
I think ABC
societal
is using this as a scapegoat because they wanted to get rid of Kimmel because he was losing ratings.
Whatever that might be.
And I'll give you another example of someone I think that's wrong, it's unjustified with. What they done is stupid. But I don't think the kids at Texas State that were making fun of him getting shot, the black kids that were showing their neck, I don't think they should get kicked out of school for that.
That's crazy. That is wild.
I can't believe, of all the stupid things college kids do, if you want to watch some stupid shit, look at ESPN Game Day. If you look at some of them signs these kids hold up sometimes, are stupid as hell. I just can't believe that you can get kicked out of school for doing that. Is it classless? Yes. Would I be embarrassed if I was his parents? Yes. I just don't think it's right. Do you think it's fair to kick him out of school for that?
I mean, they got a lady locked up in jail right now.
Yeah, and then the black girl at Tech that was being disrespectful, she looked like a real bitch. I agree with you, but she shouldn't get kicked out of school jail for being dumbass.
Yeah,
what do they have her in jail for threatening?
So I believe this is the same one, but essentially the video I saw was there was a MAGA guy, and obviously she didn't like Charlie Kirk. She walks by, she like bumps his hat, and so he goes, "That's assault. That's assault." And sure. It's a class C, like class B or C misdemeanor. She should be
bailed out pretty cheap.
Well, sure,
but she got kicked out of school
that's crazy.
Now,
yeah,
I just
You know how many fights I've seen on campus?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. How many fraternity parties? See, I haven't been to college in a long, long time, 35 years, almost 40 years ago.
You're right.
So people had fights all the time. I got in a big fight at a frat party one night. Me and, I'm not going to say a couple of guys. One guy's got a real good job. I don't want to really get him in trouble. But we got in a fight at a college campus at a big party.
Yeah.
And there was 12 of us probably fighting. Nobody deserved it. I would have been sick to go to jail that day. And we could all went to jail. But could you imagine getting kicked out of college for that shit? That's where we've gotten soft. Do you think the kids at Texas State should be kicked out? Because you hadn't said nothing. So I think you're thinking that it's just.
No, it's just, I mean, you got the...
Jeff's just putting words in your mouth.
Doing that to, he did that to Riley earlier.
Andy usually speaks.
Hang on a minute.
Andy usually speaks up on this stuff, and I can tell by looking at him. I've done this a lot. I've been around the boy since he's a little boy. So he is not against them being kicked out of school.
I'm thinking about everything.
Obviously,
I'm not for or against. I'm just processing the information. And it takes me a minute.
You don't think they're a little overboard on kicking them out of school, though?
Is it a public school?
Yes, it is. But what did they do that's other than just being totally unconditionally jackasses?
We're so
we're just on a slippery slope right
no,
now.
it's not that. We're just so like over the top with this. Like the consequences of speaking out of turn on this incident and this tragedy, it carries a swift punishment for a lot of people. Now, I think to talk about the teacher, if you're celebrating it, I think you should be gone.
Yes.
I think you should be gone. If Charlie Kirk was the most bleeding, blue blood liberal that was for all this other stuff, if you were celebrating that as a teacher, you should be fired.
If Stephen Colbert got shot in the same situation doing a college deal, and I saw someone do it, I go, "Are you a freaking asshole?"
Or Bill Maher. Bill Maher's a good example.
Okay.
If this happened to Bill Maher,
I would not celebrate.
And a teacher was celebrating it the next day, they should be gone.
I agree 100%.
And I think
You shouldn't condone violence in your classroom.
Where's the NAACP at with these black kids, though? That's what shocked me. What's really surprised me is the people from the left that have been supportive of Charlie Kirk. A lot of black celebrities have, and I'm like, this guy's this racist that the left's trying to make. He was not a racist at all. His problem was he was a very real guy, and he was the smartest guy in the room at everything. If you look back at some of the things he talks about, whether it was Bibles, slavery, everything, he's spot on. He just said exactly not what they wanted to hear, but what the truth is. And he talked about it. And when you see black people on his side, black people wouldn't be on his side if he was a racist. And so that's really, to me, has been a very interesting fact.
Well, he said black women don't have the processing power of white women.
But I think it was I think if you listen to the whole speech,
context,
context
matters.
They take things out of context. Like he said, for the Second Amendment to really work, some people have to give up blood and life about it. And they're like, oh, that's karma. No, what he's saying is the truth, though. Exactly what he said he talked about slavery. He said, if you want to really get into slavery, why don't we go to Africa, who people were selling the slaves for? The black tribes were selling the slaves. Well, he's telling the truth. He's not saying,
but that doesn't.
He's not saying it's okay to have these slaves.
I'll use a leftist thing that I don't agree with talking point, because I feel like a lot of conversations about this stuff gets lost in non sequiturs, right? So one thing that like I obviously in my mind makes sense, but it's a non sequitur to the conversation is when somebody will say nobody's illegal on stolen land. Okay, sure. Whatever that like then essentially the Native Americans should and whatever be able to come back and take it, but that's not how things work, right?
Which tribe?
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
That's my point. All the time.
It's a non sequitur because it's a nice sentiment, and sure it may ring true, but it's a non sequitur. So being like, well, the black people in Africa sold those slaves. Okay, we still had 400 years of slavery here. So like when you come out
but we also ended it.
And slavery slavery's still going on in Africa.
And let me point something out that's just happened that some people aren't talking about. There was just now one of them. I think he's white, but I can't really tell in the picture. But there was a black kid and two Mississippi college students found hanging from trees in the early morning in Mississippi, and they are telling us
there was a suicide. The one in Delta State was a suicide. He didn't have broken limbs and stuff.
I mean, listen, we're in Jeff, I'm sorry, you're going to have a hard time selling me that a black kid hanging from a tree in Mississippi at 7:00 in the morning is a suicide.
Why?
When's the last? Because it's Mississippi. Because we have a history. That's the point that I'm making.
So
we have a history of
rednecks
things.
in a truck drove up.
I
And
don't
grabbed
know who
this
it.
kid?
It doesn't have to be them. Who knows who it is?
Well, I mean, that's what you're
But-
implying.
no.
You just said we're in Mississippi. You can't tell me in Mississippi. Do you think some Mexicans hung him? No.
Nobody knows.
No,
but telling
but-
me that it's not. Telling me that it's just suicide.
But you're implying that.
I'm implying that there could have been some motive given the current cultural situation.
Who would have to go in? I'm not for racist. I think
No, sure.
I think
I would
fucking
hope not.
slavery was the sickest shit in the whole world.
Obviously.
I'm Italian. I've never heard of any fucking slave working
You're
on a
Italian?
spaghetti farm. Yes. Have you ever heard of working
Is
on a
it
spaghetti farm?
Stanfield?
Cordy.
Cordy is right. But
Cordy,
yeah.
okay.
But have you ever heard of a slave at a spaghetti field? No, never in your life. So I never had any slaves. I don't know you reparations, and I ain't paying you shit. I don't
Okay,
know
but
you.
we're not talking about
because
that.
our government. Well, but you said a minute ago, there's 400 years of slavery in this country. Our government ended slavery. We don't. That all gets into. You know how many white men died to end slavery?
That's
Hundreds
all.
of thousands.
That's
of them.
all well, and everybody they appreciate that, and that's like a really good thing that happened, that we ended slavery. My point is to talk about. Well, they sold them to.
I wasn't
I'm just
saying
saying
that.
I'm saying that detracts from the conversation that others are trying to
But
have,
how
which
did
is
slavery
nobody.
start in America?
Well, it started through chattel slavery, and it started through the South American South. What did you say? South Native Americans? Was that what you say? Like they started with impresarios. I mean, it started way back in the 1400s.
But way before a white man was in America, it started.
There were always slaves.
Okay, that's my point of the whole deal. And he was just saying, that's what he said, but they take it out of context that he was
Sure.
saying it's okay to have slavery. No, he's just giving history lessons on slavery. And yes, I think our first 12 presidents all owned slaves. But that was the same thing as everything else. It wasn't looked down like it should have been. We looked down on it. But what me and you are having this conversation now, 200 years from now, let's say Muslims are running our country. Me and you are both Christians. And so let's say our great-great-great-grandkids are Christians. And if they don't wash the feet of the Muslim guy, they behead them because they're Christians, not Muslims. It's just the way things are. I'm not saying it's right what's going to happen 200 years in the future because we don't know what it's going to be like. Just like it's not right what happened 200 years in our past. But that's the world we lived in. And you can't talk about certain things because it makes you a racist. And if you talk about slavery, wasn't just all started by white people is all I'm saying. There were black people that owned slaves. Kamala Harris's great-grandfather sold slaves in Jamaica. Is it wrong? Yes. But it happened. I mean, it's life. That doesn't make her a slave owner. No more than it makes just because my skin tone's white that I had slaves because we never did.
It's the same. The point is not that everybody had slaves at a time. Our world used to be a lot worse. Obviously,
Yep.
You
Yes.
know, Irish people were slaves. Everybody was a slave. Everybody.
The Chinese built the railroads.
Exactly. The point is, and this is. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just trying to kind of give a little bit of maybe more perspective. Is that the reason people get charged up, I think, in America is because it's talked about it also is talked about out of context. They're not talking about 800 years. We're all aware of that. We're all aware that slavery has been around forever. But in particular in this country, it's a couple of groups of people, right? The same reason people started getting upset when they built stuff like Alligator Alcatraz. Well, that's because in the 50s, we started locking up Japanese American citizens just because.
The 40s.
40s, thank
It
you.
wasn't just because.
But they're Japanese American citizens. So you're either treated like American citizen or you're not. And now I understand that illegal immigration and Japanese American citizens is different.
We're talking about internment camps for everybody. Hold on, just so everybody doesn't know. We're talking about internment camps after World War II.
Thank you, Jeff.
After December 7th, 1941, they rounded up a bunch of Japanese people. A lot of them were American citizens that had not a damn thing to do with it. But there also were some that were involved.
Okay, but
That were Japanese slaves. And it's not fair. But we're also talking
that's
about
not the country we want to live in.
We're also talking about 85 years ago when it was a different world we lived in at the time. There's a difference. Was it wrong? Yes. And it was mostly on the West Coast. But there were some people that were rounded up that were guilty of what they were being rounded up for, and it wasn't right.
So then you can understand why people would be uncomfortable with the idea of masked individuals picking people off the streets and taking them to a camp. It's not because it's the exact same situation, but this thing matters. Like the precedence matters, and people forget about precedence.
I disagree with you on this.
That's fine, but precedence matters. You know,
how many illegals do we have to have rape and kill people before we lock them up?
I mean, how many American citizens can get? How many American citizens get to get off of rape and killing people before we?
You are an American. You're an American citizen. You're on the same side I'm on. We're not talking about. See, this is where it gets conflated here. Is you're an American citizen just like me. We're on the same page.
Sure.
On the same exact page. Your family has probably been in America longer than my family has.
Which, by the way, we got accused of being illegal, which is kind of my point.
Okay.
Somebody goes, I think your dad was illegal.
No.
And yeah, my dad's we're five generation American.
And I've known your dad and your uncles for a long, long time. Yeah. And your uncle and me used to have a lot of conversations in my office at City Hall.
Yeah.
A lot of
Uncle Joe.
He worked there, and so he was around me a lot. You're on the same side I'm on. If you're illegal and you're here and you commit a crime, you have no rights. You're here illegal. I don't understand why that's a big problem. I don't understand
have a
why
right
that's
to due process.
Why?
No matter what, you have a right to due process because that's what the 14th and 15th Amendments say.
It says that about illegals?
About anybody in our country has the right to due process.
That's the actual words of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe not the actual words because I can't pull it right off the top of my head.
I think it's meant for U.S. citizens is what it's for. But
Jamie, look that up.
Due process.
I'm on it.
Due process is you can help. Your ass can be held with no bail.
They still do that, yeah.
Okay, well, you should. If you're illegal and you've committed any kind of heinous crime like that, and if you want to lock them up down there till they go on crime, I don't have a problem with that. Because how many freaking people do we have to have killed before it happens? And your argument is a lot of U.S. citizens. Lock them fuckers up too. I don't have a problem with that. If you commit a heinous crime,
they're not getting treated like that.
They should, though.
Yes,
they do a lot of times, but everybody. Here's the thing: it's a money rights deal. If you're illegal and you come from Mexico or Venezuela or whatever it is, and your family's multi-millionaires, you're going to get out just like every other rich person does in America. If LeBron James's kids get in trouble, he's got more rights or more access to get out of stuff than my kids do.
They're not held to the same standard that we are.
And it's a money thing. It ain't a color thing. It's a money thing.
I can agree with that for sure.
O.J. Simpson killed 2 people, and he got off because he could afford the best attorneys you could buy.
Yeah.
We just talked about Patty Hearst the other day, and she got off of her dad had F. Lee Bailey hired to commit her. F. Lee Bailey was also a O.J.'s because it's a money thing.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with locking these people up. So I don't care if we build 100 Alcatraz alleys. I don't have a problem with Mexican people at all. I love Mexican people. I've got a bunch of Mexican people that work for me. I live in a town that's 75% Mexican family. I get along great with them. I don't have any problem at all with anybody based on color. But if you're illegal over here, you better get your ass and get legal. We need everybody that wants to come here.
Okay.
But
can I ask you then?
Can I answer?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
This is according to 2 different sites. The U.S. Constitution applies to non-citizens in varying degrees. Both sites say due process, 5th and 14th Amendment.
Oh, sorry. I said 15th. 15th. Sorry.
And 14th.
5th and 14th Amendment.
5th and 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment states must treat persons within their district equally under the law, which includes non-citizens. They also have the right to the First Amendment. Back to due process. Non-citizens, including undocumented immigrants, cannot be deprived of life, liberty, and property without fair legal process.
Yeah, but that doesn't say they have to be let out of jail.
Okay, but now we're shifting. Okay, but we just shifted the goalposts. That's not what you said that they don't have a right to due process, and I said they do.
Okay, then I'm wrong on the due process part, but they can also their right to due process.
That's fine.
But go sit in a camp.
Well, okay, I feel like a fucking moderator.
Can I? You kind of are.
You are.
Can I just? A lot of people.
And right now, Riley's about 2-0 on me, so he's doing good.
A lot of people get this misconception about people, and I don't want people on the left, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure I'll get a lot of names. But there's this misconception that if you are a Democrat, then what you want is open borders all day. And not one Democrat I've ever spoken to, leftist, socialist, any of them, even right, left, nobody wants open borders, do what you want.
What do you want then for the border?
What we would like, well, I'll speak in current times right now because that's what,
we're living here current, so go ahead.
What we would like is for ICE agents to not be waiting in the back of the courtroom, intimidating a judge, and when people show up, you said, if you're not here legally, get your ass legal, right? Mm-hmm. How likely are you to show up to a court that the ICE agents are waiting, you're not going to get a fair trial because they're waiting in the back, and as soon as you walk out, they're going to grab your ass anyways. Like you
I don't
want
think
people
you're not
to go
going to get a fair trial. You might get deported.
You have judges saying that. You have judges saying we have ICE agents in our courtroom intimidating our not is it plaintiffs?
Jury pool?
Defendant.
Thank you. Defendant. They're in their immigration hearings. I don't know that there's a jury in immigration hearings, so don't get me lying.
I don't think there is.
But there's officers in the back, and they're waiting to pick these people up. There's videos everywhere of lawyers speaking to the camera, going, they called them in for an asylum, and now they're locking them up. And that is somebody who goes, you know what? I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to show up to court like they told me to do, and I'm going to try to do it the right way. And then their gift for that is getting sent to Venice, to somewhere they don't live.
Didn't the government tell them that if they would self-deport themselves, they would pay them $1,000 or something? And if you get legal, come back over here.
Yeah, that's awesome. But that is not the policy that is a policy.
But isn't the policy you're illegal? What
if we just had them come to their asylum hearings and go through the process without intimidating them and without sending masked individuals to pull them off the street? We don't need fear tactics.
They're illegal
to get people.
Riley, that's the problem. They're illegal.
Okay.
Illegal.
But they have a right. What is it? What did it say again? They have a right to due process. What part of due process? What part of due process involves a masked individual snatching you out? Because Jeff, they're not going to prison.
What's the due
They're going to Home Depot and taking workers.
Okay. What's the due process for someone that's here illegal? Are you here legally?
Who? Wait, are you asking me? Or are you
I know you're here legally. I'm rhetorically.
Okay.
But
the due process is going to...
We'll call him Jeff, okay?
Sure.
Let's say Jeff from Mexico. Jeff from Mexico is illegal here, okay? And he gets picked up, and he's illegal. If he's not here legally, deport him. That's illegal. That's breaking the law. See, that's what I don't understand. He's here illegal. He's breaking the law.
Okay. You're right on that.
Okay.
If somebody is illegal, like, okay, we have this all the time in this area
We've
where
got
somebody
tons
gets
of
pulled
people,
over.
and they're good people.
No, I'm just saying, like, we'll have somebody get a DWI, right? And they get picked up, and then they're found out to be that's happened several times, right?
It don't even have to be a DWI. Just
something.
And a lot of times, let's be honest. A lot of times, these small towns, these officers know these people. They're not hurting. They're good, and they don't do nothing.
Exactly.
But if you're here illegal, you are illegal.
That is finding somebody, pulling somebody over, finding somebody committing a crime, and then realizing they're undocumented is different than saying, "Go find a Mexican." That's not okay, because that is what they said.
You can't.
Look at Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor's dissent from what they just did, because they just passed it to where you can profile. You can now racially profile.
Everybody profiles. If you're okay,
you profiling and the federal government profiling are two different things.
It's still illegal. Is illegal. I'm telling you right now. Just because you see 27 Mexicans in a Volkswagen, you shouldn't just pull them over.
But that's what they're allowing them to do now.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that 100%.
That's all I'm saying.
But if you get pulled over and you are illegal, you are illegal. If ands or buts, you're breaking the law by being here illegally.
I'm not sure what it is. Like I understand the concept of being illegal. My point is, if we're going to do due process, if we're going to ask people to go to their asylum hearings and do it the right way, then it should be done the right way. You wouldn't do it any other. You wouldn't let. You wouldn't let the cop that arrested you make your decision. Or you wouldn't let the FBI come in the back of the room geared out and stand in the back and look at the judge while they try to decide what's going to happen. And that judge knowing that if the president or whoever doesn't like that decision, they can be arrested, which has also happened. So has nothing to do with whether or not people are legal and illegal and how they and whether or not that's legal or not, right? Like everybody agrees if you're here illegally, you should get legal. Okay, everybody agrees. But nobody agrees with law enforcement going into asylum hearings and running fear tactics in order to get somebody to self-deport. Hey, here's a great idea. Why don't you just go and, work with some of these people? Because you're saying some of these people are good people, right? Well, why are we not trying to add these people to our economy instead?
They should have gotten illegal. They've had chances.
Right, but there are ICE agents waiting for them.
Okay, that's today. But they've had 20, 30 years to get legal, and they haven't. What's the percentage of the people that Biden and them let in for 4? Because let's be honest with you, it's millions.
That's what I've heard.
Our country went to shit the 3 years that Biden was in office with our open borders. I mean, we got this Tres Dagras gang or whatever it is, all this shit. The days of the good people coming over here to the,
I think that Trindray Awagwa is propaganda.
I don't think so, but that's here or there.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've had millions of these people come over here, and I say these people makes me sound racist. I don't really give a shit. I ain't trying to be racist. I'm just talking about illegals coming over here.
Yeah.
I don't care from where they're at, but they flooded over here because Biden and them just left the gate open, and they would say, "Hey, you need to go to this deal." 90% of them people never went to a deal, so now we're supposed to give them. We're supposed to arrest them and say, "Whoa, you got to come back in here." No, they've had their chances to get legal. Everybody in this country's had a chance to get legal. Every one of them. And they haven't. So if we've got to ship everybody back to go back to get papers and we want to come over here and go to work and be legal and become a U.S. citizen, I'm all for that. I'm not against my immigration. I'm against illegal immigration. So if you're here illegally and you go to a hearing and you're illegal and they ship you back, you're illegal. That's the bottom line.
And if the judge decides you should be here?
No. Well, that's the judge can decide.
Okay, so why are they being arrested when they don't make the right decision?
The federal law is illegal. That's the problem, the whole deal. That circumvents everything.
Well, not asylum. That's literally a part of our law. They're at an asylum hearing for safety, wherever they might be from. Wherever they might be from. You know, if we can agree that South America and Mexico are rampant with drug cartels, and we can agree that the Zetas, which let me rephrase something real quick. I said Trinidad Aragua is a propaganda. I don't mean it in that they don't exist. I mean it as in they are not an invading army in which we need the Alien Enemies Act. If you want to talk about real games, you want to talk about big gangs, we should talk about Los Zetas. We should talk about the cartels too, right? I'm not saying that those people in Pennsylvania aren't right for being I don't even really know what you're referring to.
Yesterday they had a shooting in Pennsylvania, and there was, I think, 3 cops got killed and 2 others got injured. The first thing they did was call the Mexican consult. Why would the Mexican consult being called if there was a shooting? It had.
Are they Mexican?
I'm assuming it's some kind of cartel type issue.
It sounds like it.
And that's what they call it. But those gangs, the Mexican cartels, have infiltrated every city in America. It's not just in Texas. You can go to Bangor, Maine.
It's not just It's not just Mexican gangs, though.
Mexican cartels.
Our communities are all infiltrated. It just depends on where you're at.
The Mexican cartels. And I'm not saying it's all Mexicans because there's white people doing tons of business with them. But the Mexican cartels have infiltrated every city in America. Every city in America, and it's not just Mexicans. They're involved with good old white cracker, stale cracker guy. Yeah. Everybody's involved with them. But if you're in our country illegally, you've had plenty of time to get legal in your lifetime that you've been here. Plenty of time. So either go get legal. Don't whine when you get shipped out of here for not being legal, because you've had a chance.
So would you agree then that these people that might be from, like, I don't know, Juarez, right? Would you agree that they should go to South Sudan?
No, I would send them to Mexico.
Or Venezuela.
Country of origin?
Yeah, I think.
And also, nobody has a problem with that either. Like, a lot of people that I've spoken to, like, I just think that, like, okay, if you're gonna pick somebody up, right? I don't think snatching people off the street is ever a good idea. It doesn't matter. It sets a dangerous precedent that anybody can use. They can decide that white folks, you're worried about liberals getting in control. They can decide, hey, Jeff says a lot of wild shit. You know what we're going to do? Just roll up on his ass and take him.
Send me to Italy, and then I'll be back to America.
And so that's
But I'm a legal citizen. We're talking about, I'm a legal citizen. If you're a legal citizen,
until your paperwork,
I don't have paperwork. I got a birth certificate. I've been here.
Yeah,
that
but
ain't. You're going way. You're going way.
But it's not crazy that has happened in other places around the world. To think that we are special and that will never happen here is just foolish. Like, it
happened in Nazi Germany.
And I'm not calling anybody
you're
that.
calling us me a Nazi.
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when one
come on.
when one political party gets into power, the rules, like we talked about earlier, these were the rules of the game that we were all playing by. And now I'm going to take this a step further, and now we're rounding you up because.
I know
it starts you say slippery slope.
A slippery slope.
Yeah, we're in a lot of slippery slopes right now.
Yeah, so it's dangerous.
All the people that had all the Ukraine flags, not one of them's come out against that poor Ukrainian girl that got stabbed on
murdered
that train.
on a bus,
and not one freaking person that Ukrainian flag is wanting to do to her.
And now here's what I'm going to say about that. And I've seen the video. There's not a thing that anybody on that bus or subway could have done to save that little girl.
No.
It happened so fast.
I'm talking
nothing
about
could have happened.
I'm talking about the people that aren't appalled that were for Ukraine are not appalled about this girl.
I know what you're saying, but there's a lot of people that are like,
what would you have done? You would have got stabbed too, probably.
not if I got my kids with me.
I don't buy that 100%. I do not buy that.
If I've got my kids, they're my number one safety,
and they should be.
And I am not gonna risk their safety to go be a hero.
Okay, I don't believe
Now, if
that
it's by
because I know
myself,
you.
maybe
You would have got stabbed. No, not maybe too. I know you too well,
Jeff. This is what I have a big problem with a lot of people that are sitting here watching these videos saying things that they would have done differently because they're not in that situation. They don't know what it's like when they're adrenaline, when they're in. You've got a guy with a knife, and he looked like a big man. Just off of the video,
I would have got killed.
You've got a. It's easy to say that sitting here in Texas. I would have.
I don't have the ability to not protect. I don't. I would have gotten killed.
But if I've got my wife and kids with me, you bet I'm sitting there and shutting the fuck up.
That's a different type deal. I'll give you a free pass on that if you got your family there. Me, it would be just me and mom. And there's no way, or me by myself, that I would not. You've been around me too much. You know me. I would have said something or done something. I would have just because of me, and hopefully I could talk the guy from stabbing her a second time at least. But
you wouldn't. There's no way you wouldn't have reacted.
Somebody
I didn't watch the video because I don't like shit like that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what happens. He stands up and he goes, "It's a prison scene." He just. That fast. Okay. What are you going to do in 5 seconds? Well, he plugs her 4 or 5 times and she bleeds out. Okay. Nobody's going to react fast enough.
Okay. I just know that I can't sit and watch some stuff like that, and I would have got myself hurt. I'm not saying I would have been able to hurt the guy because he would have hurt me. I'm sure, but I just don't have it in me. I don't. I'm just. I'm not one of these.
It's easy to say one way or the other. It's easy to say I would have sat there and stayed quiet, and it's easy to sit here and say I would have stood up to the guy and done this.
The best thing I've seen said was the kid that was in New York City that got in trouble, arrested. Someone said that's why that guy did that to that guy. And they go, he choked him out. He did that. No, he prevented some guy doing some shit like this. We have the biggest bunch of pussies in the world.
I think that is an issue of, and you both know that I can talk from personal experience about mental health and not having it handled. I think that is an issue that Americans at large just don't. We're not going to talk about that. Well, we're these you can give this guy whatever motivations you might want to. But the simple fact is, a healthy individual, mentally healthy individual, does not walk up to a person, stab him in the chest.
No, but
does not shoot somebody from a building top.
Do you think we should lock him up?
Who?
You.
I think me. No. Who lock who up?
Not lock you up.
I was like, not me. What the hell? What I do?
Do you think
I'm just a Democrat? Jeff. Come on now.
That's we're gonna
lock you up.
But we have a lot. Right. We have a lot of people. Now you're getting racist, Andy.
No, he's got a D instead of an R. His papers aren't right.
But we have got a lot of people on the streets that should be locked up. And someone said, you just can't lock some.
They should be locked up in a mental institution.
That's what I was fixing to say. That's locked up, though. We used to have state hospitals full of people like this.
And we saw how those, and that was an issue of, negligence, right? We don't have them anymore, and there's a reason for that.
Because a lot of people shouldn't have been locked up, too.
And women were getting put in there and lobotomized.
Yeah, but we need those. Yeah,
I agree.
We were on a school trip in Los Angeles a long time. Zach was in high school. So you and Zach were still in high school. And we got into an issue with a guy at the La Brea Tar Pits. And he was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Looked like Debo walking around, had a dog on a chain and was whipping that dog around everywhere. And he had a video camera. He was walking around with this video camera. And there was a family there. And this lady was like, it wasn't a family. It was like a school event, like 12 kids. And the teacher was explaining to some parents there. And he's like, yeah. You tell him the truth. Tell him about America blowing up all them people over and for the oil and blah, blah. Some of the things he's saying was not wrong.
Right.
But he had just come back there, but he was nuts. And he's like, yeah, tell him, I'll show him what fucking violence is. I mean, this dude was snapping. He was scary acting. So we got our family, and we got on a different bus. And he saw me. I was like, let's go get on this bus here. And there was a wrought iron fence that was about 10 foot, and thank fucking God it was there. And we got on this bus, and I called 911. I said, listen, we're at La Brea Tar Pits on Wilshire Boulevard, 3418, I think was the address. And I mean, whatever it was. And anyways, the cop got there, and they had this stun gun that was 18 foot long. I've never seen a gun like this ever. This cop pulls it out and starts putting it together. I'm like, what the fuck is that? He goes, this has gotten out of hand here. He goes, what's happened is, he said, we've got all these veterans that are coming back that need to be somewhere, and they don't need to be on the street. And he said, this is just another one of those people. And we need to law. And it's not just veterans I'm talking about, but it's people on the street. And so many of these people have fried their brains on this meth and all this other shit they take. And then there's just crazy fucking people in the world.
Right.
We've got to have a place to put them. And I'm not talking about for the rest of their freaking lives until they get straight or where they can prove that they can do it. But you just can't lock people up like that. Well, maybe we need to.
We have an issue where it's like it's a 72-hour hold, and we
need more than 72 hours
for
on
sure.
a lot of these people.
Well, you bring these people in, and I'm not going to use his name, obviously, but me and Zach had that experience our senior year. We had to pull the guy off our principal.
Yeah, and I had to deal with him.
And he stayed. This guy had stayed in school the year before he assaulted another student. Just standing there.
He has mental issues.
No, and that's the point. Is he was back the next year?
Yeah. Right. If you've got schizophrenia,
and that's a lot of issues.
Yes,
and a lot of people have those kind of issues, and it's not fun to talk about. I know, but it doesn't make any sense that you would be like, this person's crazy. He's been here 15 times. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give him a couple pills, give him his prescription, and then he'll take it when he goes outside and continues to be crazy.
Right.
And you expect, and then we go, well, we can't do that. And then you have, I don't remember what town that was, but it was viral for a minute. This lady had walked into a supermarket, stabbed a woman and her baby. She had been locked up, or locked up's a bad word. She had been institutional.
No, she had been locked up because that's where she
was
needed
in
to be.
A mental institution,
Yes.
but only for a little bit. Turned her loose, boom, murder somebody. And then guess what? Well, now she gets to go to prison where there is no real mental health, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she's just crazy. Load her up on drugs, and we'll keep her here the rest of her life. And we're not going to do anything to treat this person like a person.
There's nothing you can do to treat her to where she should be on the street again anyways.
Sure.
You might put her in a...
she shouldn't be treated like an animal, though. But,
she's killed 3 people.
No, I'm talking prior to this. Like, at this point, there's no redemption for this person because she killed 2 people. Okay. But there were plenty of chances to put this person somewhere to be safe, and you kept turning her loose.
Yeah, because the system wants her out.
Exactly. That's the point.
But once she's killed some people...
I don't know that the system wants her out. I think that the system doesn't know where to put her.
It's financially, they can't afford it.
And we can, though. We just won't.
I've had this conversation so many times when I was a judge. Well, if you'll lock her up instead of us doing it, then it's on y'all. The state has to pay for it instead of this entity here. And I'm not going to say no entities,
sure,
but I've dealt with multiple ones, and everybody's passing the buck because of a financial system. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we can't afford it because it's going to cost us. If y'all send them to state hospital, then we got to pay that $1,000 a day. Right. But if the state does it, the state's already paying them millions of dollars a month anyways. Y'all can do it. It's on y'all's bill. So we don't want it. Or we only lock her up for 3 days. She's crazy. She tried to stab somebody with a knife. Yeah, but she won't hurt nobody else, and she gets out and she kills somebody.
Yep.
And we've got to lock these people up, and we have to. But once you kill somebody, here's my solution to that. Boy, you're really going to hate this. Put them to sleep. If you've murdered somebody, put them to sleep. There is no reason why anybody walking the day after.
So no due process.
Once you've been convicted of killing somebody, put them to sleep. There is no reason why we've got people on the street that have murdered multiple people at multiple occasions. If you think I'm crazy, I bet you can put that computer up right now and find somebody in a big city that killed somebody the last couple of days that had already been convicted of murder and back on the street. If you kill somebody, then put them to sleep. What good? Why do we need them on the street?
No, I don't agree with the death penalty, but that's your opinion. We both agree, though, and this is something I want to make a point.
Why are you against the death penalty, then?
Because of the amount of innocent people that have ended up, we're in a different. So I'm part of the Innocence Project. Y'all know that one, right? So I get text messages from them all the time and about different,
What are the percentages of people? And nobody innocent should be put to sleep. I agree with you, and that's a terrible deal. We had a guy on the podcast that was fixing to be put to sleep, and DNA got him off. Right. But if you've got someone and pow at a convenience store.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with the death penalty because I don't think that people should be treated that way.
So, but they killed somebody.
I understand. It's 4% is the total amount of people on death row that have been found innocent.
So 96% of the people in the history of our world.
We got to put that in context because it is a gamified situation. You can't do. How readily do you think every district that convicts somebody of murder is going to let that? What DAs are going to go? You know what? The right thing to do is to overturn this conviction that I made 20 years ago and made my political career on. And now that judge as well, it has got to go, oh, shit, now all of my stuff's going to get looked at. So to say, well, it's 4%, well, there's also an incentive to not have it be very high.
10%. So 90% of the guilty.
I would go higher, but sure.
Okay, let's go 90%. So 90% of the people on death row have killed somebody, and we're going to set them there for 20 years. They just killed a guy the other day in Mississippi. He'd been there for 40 years. What a waste of tax dollars money. Okay, let's go Allsops. Let's just hypothetically.
Yeah.
Jeff the Mexican, or what we called him earlier, walks into Allsops and shoots Stacy at there. Pow, shoots her right in the head and kills her. It's on tape. We see it. They convict me of murder. No, there's no doubt about it. Why should I stay in the death row for 30 years? Why? What's the reason to keep me alive? What good is it doing society other than to drain on the finances?
Costs $100,000 per year per inmate.
I know how you feel about this because you feel like I do on this. What's the reason to keep him alive? He killed someone or she killed someone. What's the reason?
But what he's saying is keep him alive and keep him in prison for 60 years.
Yeah. What's that for? I'm in there for life. Or are these people that kill somebody that get out in 5 or 10 years for good behavior? You fucking killed somebody. You shouldn't be getting out for good behavior. You took a life.
Well, I have an idea for that.
Okay.
We're putting money to it, right? Let's say Jeff.
I'm not talking about money. I'm just talking humanity. Eye for an eye.
First of all, that's my personal opinion.
Right.
Right. So I would say that it's all right. What do my constituents, if I came to that situation,
I'm not talking about constituents. I'm talking about Riley.
But for me, I would say, sure, if we're putting public dollars to keeping this person alive, well, let's say Jeff has and a lot of these guys do, has a really high IQ. Well, the reason that you're mad that people get upset about it is because these people are sitting here eating a meal and not being useful. But if we can make somebody useful to a society, right? If you can put somebody in prison for 60 years, hell, train him to be an electrician, save a little money, have an electrician work on it, whatever it might be. Train him in masonry. Want to build a building? Let's do that. Right, let's build another dormitory here. There's uses that can be made. Now, this is a personal perspective of my own, but we can make use out of people because I would rather not roll the dice. I'm sorry, I know people aren't going to like this. I don't want to roll the dice on killing an innocent man because it's happening too much. This hypothetical person, no, but that's not what's. But what about the world we live in?
Yeah, but there's a lot of these are pretty cut and dry.
And sure, okay, and my opinion would be let's make them useful.
They weren't useful when they weren't in prison, a lot of them. It's what's funny
but they don't have to be.
Have you ever noticed every time someone gets shot by a cop, they were a future engineer or doctor? JoJo's been slinging drugs on the side of the road since he's been
How many
10.
cops are in jail for
Very, very few.
Okay, so that's a fair statement.
Less than 1% of police officers are bad cops.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a situation where people are Breonna Taylor. What about that? She was sleeping in her bed. Dude kicked the door open and shot her in the head or somewhere on her body and killed her. And that person...
Wasn't her boyfriend laying next to her and going for a gun?
Not that I believe. I believe he wasn't there, but I could be wrong, but I believe he was not there.
That was in Louisville, Kentucky, but I can't...
Thank you, Jamie.
I think that she...
And be clear, I'm not going after
there
cops
are some
here.
cops have done some bad things.
Bad apples everywhere.
George Floyd is not one of them. George Floyd was politicized. George Floyd was a...
Nobody needs a knee on their neck for 9 minutes. I don't care.
Bad move by the cop. Just don't disagree with
and he
you.
Needs to be in. He should be in prison.
He didn't kill him though. He died from fentanyl poisoning. That's a known. He died from fentanyl overdose. The autopsy shows that. He was a piece of shit. Cop done wrong. I'm not debating whether the cop.
Well, there's people trying to get him out of prison right now, and that's not okay.
But it's okay for you to shoot somebody and be out of jail in 5 years. It happens all the time.
That's not okay either. That's not what I said.
Okay. No, I didn't say
60 years.
No. But there's tons of people out that commit murder out in 5 years,
and that's wrong too.
That killed somebody to shoot on purpose. He put his the cops. That was the dumbest thing ever by that police officer. But don't act like George Floyd was a saint. He was not. And
he's a person.
He was a piece of shit. He was a piece of shit.
Dude, he's a no.
He was a piece of shit.
People are either people to you or they are objects. Well, he was a person.
He's an object that was a piece of shit because he held a gun to a pregnant lady, a black pregnant lady too. He was a piece of crap that was the only they did was perpetrate it to try to cause.
I didn't say
he was worthless,
and that's fine.
Piece of shit, and he was dying of it. He was dying of a fentanyl overdose. He was dying of a fentanyl overdose. Is what he was dying from.
March 13th, 2020, Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old African-American, was fatally shot in Louisville, Kentucky. when 7 police officers forced entry into the apartment as part of an investigation into a drug dealings operation. 3 Louisville Metro Police officers, Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hawkins, Miles Cosgrove, were involved in the shooting. Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, was inside the apartment with her when plainclothes officers knocked down the door and forced entries. The officers said they announced themselves as police before forcing entry. Walker, Brianna's boyfriend, did not hear any announcements, thought the police officers were intruders. Walker fired his gun in the direction of the officers, and what he said was a warning shot that hit Mattingly in the leg. The officers then returned fire with 32 shots.
Which is why no-knock warrants are dangerous.
He shot a cop. They said who they were. I'm sure. But the point is, she wasn't just laying in bed by herself.
Dude, I walked in this morning and my dog started barking and my girlfriend didn't move. So to be like,
that's not fair to the officer. Because I'm
being fair to the officers, and he didn't deserve to get shot.
Well, what are you supposed to do?
But we just talked about armchair quarterbacking, right? You see a plainclothes person bust through your door. You're dead asleep. You're going to tell me, and he goes, police, boom. The first thing you hear is police. Oh, I don't get out of bed. No, you hear the door getting kicked in, and then you don't see a badge. You see somebody in plain clothes. So I'm not saying Riley, that her boyfriend's a good person. Her boyfriend's a good guy.
You're way too intelligent for this. Sometimes it's just that they said cops. We're cops, police. They were doing a drug warrant. The guy's in the drug business. He's a drug dealer,
and he put his girlfriend in danger as well.
She knows she's sleeping with a drug dealer,
and he put her.
But when he shot that deal, game's over. If he wouldn't have shot that shot, there wouldn't nobody got shot.
I'm not arguing that if you shoot at police, you're going to get shot. That is what's going to happen.
She was a victim of her boyfriend firing a shot.
What I'm saying is to be like, these people, 7 officers kicked in a door and didn't look like police officers. I'm guessing they weren't sleeping under fluorescent lights, so they couldn't see that they probably had badges around there. So this person put his girlfriend in danger. But the fact of the matter is, if somebody kicks in my door and I can't tell what they look like, I'm bound to react. I'm bound to react. Now maybe it might be cowering in the corner and being scared.
But once he shot,
it was bad.
Game was on.
Sure. We can agree that once you pop a shot off,
in trouble.
Once you pop a shot off, you're having an issue, right? But there's nothing. But it's like, shouldn't there be like, hey, sure, those details happen. Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this situation and make sure that this doesn't happen again to an innocent person. Hey, let's go through, a lot of places in Texas, I think Texas doesn't really do like police unions like New York and stuff does. I don't think they do like contracts, right? Insurance contracts. And Texas is actually really good about this. So I believe that a lot of cops in that smaller towns can negotiate their contracts in a way, or maybe it's the part of the union that they're with. And the insurance companies that insure those police stations will require them to go to like high-level de-escalation training to avoid exactly what we're talking about right here.
I don't think none of that goes on.
This is what I heard.
I was a mayor for a long time that hired a lot of cops.
I mean, you're a mayor of Knox City. You hired 1 cop.
No, probably
at a time. How many cops have we had?
Probably while I was there, about a dozen.
A dozen different ones, or at the same time?
A dozen different ones. No, maybe more than that. We probably had 3 officers at once. I'm just saying.
I'm referring to a police force.
Well, what do you want to call a cop? So we work with troopers, everything, game wardens, everybody. See, you're minimizing a small town police officer now, big time. My police chief I have right now was a head homicide detective in Midland.
I didn't say he wasn't a good cop. I said there was only one of them.
Hold on. No, I've had 3. I've had 1 at a time. And sometimes I don't have any. But you said when you hire them, that you go through all this negotiation and they do this and that. That's what I'm saying is not true.
Okay.
That part I know for a fact.
That's why I kind of wanted to be like,
a lot of these other small towns have called me because we've had police officers, and so I kind of know some of this stuff.
Good.
I'm not saying they don't go to training. They go to training all the time, but that's not a negotiation when you're hiring them that they do stuff.
I think, is that with, it wouldn't be with the cop. It would be with whatever insurance.
COG maybe.
Sure, whatever insurance would
that's
like
TML.
Okay,
but whatever the state has rules that they have to go through. And they've got to go through training all the time.
Sure,
and they need to go through training all the time. But if you saw this video of Brianna and you saw the cameras the cop was wearing, and he said, "Police, we've got a search warrant," and they knock a door down, you wouldn't be okay with what they did?
Now, probably I would look at it in context.
Okay, well, that's a context.
But I don't
I'm
think that there's
you.
any de-escalation that you can do once Hawkins fires the warning shot.
Sure.
Like, there's nothing. I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, I think that a lot. I think jujitsu should be a mandatory practice for police officers. I think there would be a lot less shootings because
I rolled with a cop, didn't know,
right,
and it was dangerous looking.
And what happens is these officers, to no fault of their own, I realize that they're overworked, they're underpaid, and the last thing that they probably want to do is go to an hour of jujitsu after they've just worked rapes, murders, changing an old lady's flat tire on the side of the road. Like, they're fucking tired by the time they get home. But I do think that there should be incentives to go into jiu-jitsu because I think you've got more tools in your tool belt before pulling your service weapon.
I'm 100% agree with you, but I'm asking you.
So what? But what I'm saying is that all that is it's fun to. I think that should be. But once the initial shot is cracked off, all bets are off.
Yeah, it's game on.
But I'm asking you, if you saw and they said police, we have a search warrant, and they kicked that door in.
I mean, it'd obviously be a situation where it would be handled different than not announcing kicking the door in. I can agree with that.
But the media never lets us know what exactly happened.
Sure, and it also does behoove people to media sources and cities to not report accurately.
Yeah, because the more dissension they have, the more people watch the news.
Absolutely.
Same as a divided country is a lot more better for a politician than when things are going good.
These are the moments I like right here, Jeff. I just want to point this, and first of all, I want your audience to understand I am not a defund the police person. As a matter of fact, I just think that we should buy less squad cars and spend more time talking about like what Andy's talking about, jiu-jitsu, making sure that our officers are well paid and highly trained. You have to have
squad cars, though.
Sure, but highly trained.
There's not a lot of money in a big police budget that gets wasted.
No, I wouldn't think so. They damn sure spend it.
Well, they have to.
They have to. Yeah.
And
you don't get any more money if you don't, right?
You know, our biggest no, that's not really true though. That's kind of a government deal. Like when you talk about the army and the military.
Yeah.
Their police departments are expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
But guess where most all the calls in police departments are in the neighborhoods that everybody hates the cops. That's where the majority of your calls are. You live in Abilene, Texas. I bet you the same 3 or 4 neighborhoods have most of the calls.
I don't know. They're kind of all over the place.
Well, I'll bet you there's a big portion of calls.
Sure, I wouldn't know.
That go to the same deal. You can go to any town in America and the same streets. You can look up right now. I'll give you an example. You can look at Chicago on HeyJackass.com, which keeps up. That's the name of the website.
Jackass.
HeyJackass.com, and it's Chicago crime stats, and it shows all the stats from what's going on, and you can look at everything going on in Chicago. This week in Chicago, they've only had 3 people killed. Crazy now that we got some federal help down there, how that's going down. But if you look at the neighborhoods, it's the same. Inglewood Street and Dale is on here all the time. Austin Street. If you go back and look for the last 6 months to a year, it's the same streets all the time get shootings over and over and over again. You go to the neighborhoods where you got high education, Ritz, we'll call it Cracker Way. Cops never are over there hardly at all. They spend all their resources in the shitty side of town where everybody hates cops because that's where all the crime is. That's just the statistics. That's the truth.
Well, that's what poverty breeds.
That's a Charlie Kirk thing right there. If he said that, and everybody would be like, well, that's racist. No, that's true. I mean, that is the truth. Regardless of what it is, it's kind of like Jasmine Crockett the other day blamed all the shootings in Chicago white supremacy. How the hell is white supremacy making black people shoot each other? Don't have a damn thing to do with it.
It's not only black people that live in Chicago.
No, a black on black crime is higher there. She was blaming black on black crime on white supremacy.
I'm not familiar with whatever she's talking about.
That's what she said the other day. She said, and you can look it up on YouTube.
On the internet.
She said the reason we have high percentage of black on black crime in Chicago is because of white supremacy. Now, I have been around white people my entire life. I have never been to a meeting. I've never been anywhere. I've never even had a white guy come up to me and say, you know what's good? We keep all this white supremacy up. We're going to make them black people kill each other in Chicago.
Yeah, but I feel like if you were a part of that meeting, you wouldn't tell us anyway.
Exactly. It's kind of like...
Thanks for minimizing my point here. But
I mean, who's going to be like, hey, guys...
There is no
funny thing about me. Hey, there's something you don't know about me, Andy.
There are none of those meetings. But
wink, wink.
The bad parts of town is where the police spend most of their resources. The people that want to defund them are the politicians. The people that live in them neighborhoods They
The
don't want to
regular
defund
people
them.
don't want
No,
that.
fuck no. I feel so sorry for black people that live in the shitty areas. And you know who I feel sorry for more than any job in America is a black cop. And I've got a black cop that's a good friend of me that hunts with me. And me and him have this same conversations. You know the most racist people in the world are black people towards a black cop. And this came from a black officer telling me this. And when he's here hunting in a couple of weeks, I'd love to get him on and have him tell stories if he can. They treat him like shit.
Yeah.
They call him names all the time. They're sellout, Uncle Toms and stuff. You're an Uncle Tom for taking a good job and providing your family and being a good person and being a public servant. But you're an Uncle Tom because you arrest a black guy. That's the bullshit deal. If you
Ain't
see
easy being a cop.
If you see a white cop and I see him arresting some bunch of meth heads, tweakers at a trailer park, good for them. Burn that son of a bitch to the fucking ground. I don't care. I don't care what color you are. If you're bad, you're bad.
Right.
And anyways, I don't even know how we've gotten to where we're at right now.
We did kind of get off in the tall grass a little bit.
But that's some of the talking points that the Democrats push all the time is defund the police. To me, it's absolutely stupid, especially coming from a politician that's got an armed guard all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that to bring it back around to why I'm being running for office is that's one of what you're pointing out is one of the issues I'll pick a subject that your audience will love. When Beto said, "Yeah, we're going to take your guns away," I was immediately like, "Well, that was stupid.
Yeah,
Don't ever say that."
Well,
because
he's not a real intelligent guy.
But what that moment was, at least in my perspective, was somebody getting caught up. You got caught up in the fervor, and everybody other places that they could get a Democrat elected, a glass of water with a D on it elected, you started hanging out and saying that kind of stuff. And I don't personally believe in that. I want to have a gun, and I think other people ought to have guns. But our politicians, we're being ran by people. We're being ran by the popular kids, all the popular kids in school.
Now, I think we're getting ran by the kids who got beaten dodgeball.
And I don't know.
I think Beto was never.
Do you think Pete Hegseth got beat in dodgeball? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, I thought you were talking about your members of your political parties.
Of all of our political parties.
No, Pete Hegseth is an alpha male completely, 100%.
Anyway, you know, alpha male is not a real thing, right?
He is. The guy served in our country, fought for our country. He's a good guy. He's
sure, he's a very nice man. I don't agree with any of his politics.
Which politics do you disagree on?
All of them.
Spit one out to me.
I don't think we needed to spend a bunch of money. An easy one is I don't think we need to spend a bunch of money to change it over to the Department of War, no matter how much sense it made. I don't think that transgender soldiers, people willing to lay down their life, should have been kicked out of the military. I don't think you should attack homosexual soldiers who want to lay down their life for our country. You want to call them names and you want to villainize them, just like he put his life on the line. They put their life on the line. I know people.
I'm gonna everything you talk about. I'll rebuttal if I think.
Fine.
But when you get done, go ahead. Don't go through all of them.
But when you spend your time demonizing, we don't need these people. These people are wrong. These people are bad. There's been high-level officers that are transgender that have done a great job. They didn't have any problem. They've been in the Army, 20 years? No problem then. For 20 years, they've been fine. But now, all of a sudden, they're just not good for our military, and we got to get them out. That's ridiculous. If somebody's going to step in front of a bullet for my rights, I'm going to support them. And if you're going to come out as a representative of the military and demonize your own soldiers, I mean, you say what you want, man, but if you're going to step out and demonize people that are stepping in front of a bullet for my rights, it's going to be hard for me to agree with you. I don't care if they do want to be a woman and if they're a biological man that wants to be a woman or the other way around, or if they like men or if they like everybody. I don't care. That man, that transgender, that homosexual, that man, that woman said, you know what? I care about your rights and your freedom. So I'm going to get in front of this bullet, wherever it comes from, foreign or domestic, for you.
Okay, go ahead and do the next one.
That's it.
Okay, so that's your problem with him is transies.
My problem with him, he doesn't respect. That's okay. So let's set this parameter first. Do you consider a homosexual soldier or a transsexual soldier a soldier in the United States military?
I don't think there's a place in America for transgenders. I really don't, or anywhere in that deal. I think it's weird. I don't care what you do, but don't make me pay for it. And
I don't think anybody's making you pay for it.
Oh, I think the government spent a lot of money paying for a lot of transgender shit. I think you can look it up.
Can you look that up for me?
Because Medicaid and Medicare will pay for transgender surgeries.
Is that the military?
Based on the state that they live in.
Thank you.
Texas, when I pulled up an example, it was your California, Illinois, and New York. Medicaid and Medicare would pay for transgender surgery.
And are those voted on or are those just decided?
Probably by Pritzker and Newsom and all them. But the point is, I don't think we should pay for it. If you want to get your dick cut off, Riley, and you want to come back here and your name's Rachel, hold on, let me finish. I don't care what you do. I like you, and that's what you want to do. That's fine.
Would you call me Rachel?
No, I would not. I would call you Riley.
I would call you whatever name you wanted, but I wouldn't call you a girl.
Behind your back, he'd be like, "Well, he's fucked up."
That's a real kind way to treat somebody.
Like if you were like, "Hey, my name's not Riley anymore; it's Ricardo."
What if I said I would appreciate it if you called me that?
I would call you whatever you wanted me to call you, but I would not say that you're a girl now.
And would you go to the government and say, "I'm not calling him that"? And you need to make a law against
it. I probably wouldn't go to the government, but I just would have a hard time.
So do you guys, and we're getting a little bit off. I'm not.
Yeah, we got to get back to Pete Hegseth.
The point that I'm making is if the guy running our military is comfortable villainizing his own soldiers, that's not somebody that I trust.
I got a son that just got out of the Army.
I don't know how many are in there, so don't ask me.
And me and Payne have had some of these
I don't know how many.
Less than 1%, because it's nationwide. They're less than 1%. So we're doing all this stupid shit for less than 1% of the people.
How has your life changed for them?
Hold on. I don't want to spend my money or my military's time worried about some dude that wants to wear a fucking dress.
That's great. We're not.
Okay, we did
in
too.
Texas.
We did too. But the military. The United States military was having to pay for these fucking transition surgeries and shit. You can look it up. They were. And to me, that's waste of fucking money. You talking about waste of money. If some guy wants to get his dick cut off, do it on his own. Pay for it yourself. We shouldn't pay for shit. We shouldn't have to pay for hormone pills or anything else. So Rachel Levine.
Who's that?
The Health and Human
Services wore a fucking dress. That's the most embarrassing thing in the world. She was in charge of Youth and Human Services. She couldn't even she could, at least Pete Hegseth is an athlete and served time as a soldier.
See those pull-ups?
He's an athlete. You can say what you want to. The guy's a good. He's a badass.
I thought Rachel took what Kennedy has now.
The Health and Human Services. That's what he is. But
you said that Hegseth has that position
now. No, he didn't. He said Levine, guess, whoever that is.
Was the Health and Human Services.
Which what Kennedy has right now.
Right. Yeah, no. She was the Secretary of State or whatever, Secretary of War, whatever they call it now. I don't, the name thing, I think that
this is a bit, I think that this is, honestly, I think this is all a distraction.
From what?
From the actual small percentage of our country and of people that are actually changing and controlling lives. These transgender. What have you changed about your life as a person that has been as a result of transgender people?
I'm not around them.
So I have to police commercials more for my kids, and that is something. And that's not.
What do you mean by police commercials?
So, right now, like, so Big Pharma has a bunch of they make up the biggest ad percentage of commercials, and a lot of times they'll sneak these things in where it's two gay, like you'll be watching a kids show and then it's two gay guys that are like all cuddled up, and like this is on like Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever. Well, like that used to be a safe channel for kids that are under 10 to go watch, and the parents didn't really have to worry about anything. And like even like on football, like me and my son will be watching football and it's like, oh fuck, here's a gay commercial, and like now I gotta have a conversation with him that I don't feel like I should have to have when he's 10 years old.
What did Snoop Dogg just go to the other day that he was completely pissed about?
It was the Superman movie.
It was a movie.
It was some movie. I can't remember what it was.
And he's like, I shouldn't have to answer.
I don't mind having that conversation at the appropriate time with my kid, because I know that that's something that there's going to be gay people out there. There's going to be people that don't look like us and everything else. And I'm fine with having that conversation, not at 10 and not at 7.
Okay.
That's my only thing.
Yeah, sure. And I can see where you're coming from, but policing a commercial and then telling people that they shouldn't exist are two different things.
Well, you just asked where
right? No, for sure. But like your life is not really that different.
My day-to-day life.
Your day-to-day. No, you don't have to worry about. I had a conversation. Actually, this is great. I had a conversation about this the other day with an individual. We were on our way to the Devil's River. By the way, if you ever get a chance to go, bring shoes. My feet got it up. It was not smart. I went in slides, Jeff. Slides don't work on rapids.
Not at all.
But we had a really good conversation on the way there. This guy that I was talking to, big Boy Scout dude, him and his brother, like Eagle Scouts, whatever. He's at a Boy Scout camp. He's a counselor there. And they start talking about, he's got a friend who's transitioning. These guys are, super Christian, really chill dudes. But he's talking about this camp. And of course, everybody I'm in the truck with has a different opinion than mine. which is, I don't see why it matters, but he's talking about this, and people start making their comments on having this person in this area. And the first question I asked him was, what did you have to do different in your day? What did this person's your presence in your day to day? What did it change? Nothing. Did you have to talk to them differently? Did you have to change the way you spoke? Nope. Nothing happened. Everything was fine because these people are people and they just want to exist. And to demonize them and villainize them as if there's this big, like movement that's just ruining everything. Not a damn person's life has had to change.
Why should we have to conform?
You're not.
Hold on. Why do we let these people, why should they get in front of kids at a preschool and talk, or a first grade kid dressed up like, well, there's no point in that shit.
Why can't we? Okay, well, how many youth pastors have molested kids and we still have youth meetings?
We should shoot them and put them in jail. I don't have a problem with that.
No. That's not the point.
I've got a problem with having some transgender person sitting in front of a kid. I also got a big problem with a man going in my granddaughter's dressing rooms. I have a big issue with that. Shouldn't happen. You're a fucking man. You may think you're a girl, but you're a man. If you got to get a prostate check when you're older, you're a man. If your body produces sperm, you're a man. You're not a woman. You've got some mental issues. You are mentally screwed in the head to think that you're not who you are. You may want to be gay. I don't care if you're gay. I have zero problems with gay people. I don't want to see two gay guys screwing in the front yard. But you know what? I don't want to see my neighbors who are heterosexual screwing in the front yard either. So that's just me on anybody. I don't want the shit flaunted in front of me. I've got lots of gay guys I've been friends with my whole life. I don't care that they're gay. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't care if my kids are around someone that's gay and they got Uncle Bob and Uncle Bill. I don't want some guy going in my granddaughter's dressing room or bathroom. It's not a place for it. Not a place for it at all. They shouldn't go to they're a man. It's men's bathroom, women's bathrooms. You can't be both. And you can't change from one to the other. Now, if you want to go home and put on high heels, knock yourself out. I was with my grandkids at Rochester, New York at the airport a couple of years ago, and there was a guy, a girl, a shim, I don't know what it was. And Dylan asked me, she goes, Judge, is that a boy or a girl? I had to look. I said, I think that's just an ugly woman. I don't know for sure. But it got to be a question with us when we go on vacations more and more. Am I right, Andy? We run into it all the time.
Do you not think that's a dangerous precedent?
To say what?
To say, okay, so let's say an ugly woman.
So what should I have said?
No, just follow me here. Let's say an ugly woman that maybe has some stubble. I've seen a couple of them.
This one here was questionable. I don't know if what it was.
You didn't know what it was.
But I was polite and nice.
No, I'm not saying you said anything. We've had these situations already. So what I'm pulling from is not a hypothetical. There have been situations where a security guard goes, you know what? That's a man. And he walked in and forced a woman to come out of the bathroom. She was a woman. She may not have been very pretty, may not have been dressed very well. But what has in fact happened is people, that's a dude. And they follow these young women into these bathrooms and you make them get out of the bathroom. Now, when we're talking about public spaces, I can get on a page where there needs to be some nuance, right? Things can happen. I'm not disagreeing with you there. There should be nuance. There should be measures we take. But to sit here and tell me that these people you keep it in your house. Outside is public. If they want to be outside, first of all, nobody's making you go to a drag queen story hour. I don't think you've ever been to one, have you?
No, but they sit it. No,
so how is it in your face?
They do it at kids. They do have them at public schools.
Well, I've been to a drag queen story hour. You know what happened? I sat there in that bookstore. She read a book. About halfway through the book, the biggest controversy at that, the kids argued about whether the main character should have picked a flower or not, and if that was environmentally safe. And then they all danced, and then they all said, "Can we dance now?" And then they danced, and the drag queen read again. Nothing.
But why do we have to have a dude wearing a fucking dress talk to kids?
Listen,
why?
Why does it matter to you?
Because it's giving me my kid. They don't need to see that shit.
Don't take them.
It's a public fucking school. Sometimes they bring them to these schools.
Okay, that's a different conversation.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a nuanced conversation.
If you don't want to take your kid to a drag show, I got no problem with that. Don't take them. But when they go to schools, it's not.
That's not the point you made before. You were just saying that they shouldn't do it. I don't want it in my face.
They shouldn't be anywhere that a kid has to be at. They shouldn't be in. Do you think they should go in girls' bathrooms?
Who?
Cross-chest dressers, transgenders, whatever you want to call them. Should they be able to go in a boy's bathroom?
I think that
a girl's bathroom.
I think that situation could get weird, and it's a nuanced situation.
But what is your answer?
Why not just make it a unisex bathroom?
That's fine. Because
that would be my answer. Make it a unisex bathroom and floor.
Unisex bathroom with
floor to
multiple
ceilings.
with
My
multiple
answer
toilets.
would be unisex bathroom, floor to ceiling stalls. I don't like the fact that there's 4 foot of space where you can see what my shoes look like. If I'm letting a nasty one in there, I don't want people to know that it was me.
But they shouldn't have public restrooms with multiple stalls where transgenders can go where little girls are. If it's a one hole or unisex, I don't have a problem with that at all. But a little 6-year-old girl don't need to go in the bathroom, because I've been there before where I go and I follow my grandkids to the bathroom. The boys, I'll go in a lot of times with them. Sometimes I stand by the door. But if I'm sitting here, Dylan needs to go to the bathroom, and she's getting older now. She can go by herself. But let's say she's 7 years old, and it's me and her and Michelle, something happened, or just me and Dylan. And so I take Dylan, or Landon. Okay, Landon's at the age. So me and Landon are it's just me and Landon and Zach somewhere. And Landon needs to go to the bathroom. Well, she's too old to go in the boys' bathroom now. So me or Zach go walk her to the bathroom, and we stand by the door. And Landon goes in the door, and we see some fucking dude in high heels walk in there. How do you think that's going to... Fuck that shit. That ain't happening. There's no reason for that. That's my point.
And to be fair, I don't think that is happening.
That happens.
I don't think that is happening on any kind of scale. Because what I have heard of are the ugly women getting pulled out of bathrooms.
What I
haven't heard, and this is just me. I haven't heard anything about that particular thing happen. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that social issues aren't important and you shouldn't have them important. I led this by saying this is all a distraction, and the distraction is that we're going to take a small percentage. LBJ said this, I'm going to paraphrase it, but if you can make the lowliest white man feel better than the highest black man, he'll let you pick his pocket and he'll thank you for it. As a matter of fact,
who said that?
LBJ.
You're going to quote a man who killed the leader of your Democratic Party.
I mean, what are we talking about here? We're in America. This is America, the greatest mafia that's ever existed.
Well, he's a piece of shit too.
Well, that's your opinion, and
he killed John F. Kennedy. He was in on that shit.
I'm not saying. Hey,
I mean, I didn't say he was a good guy. A murdering piece of shit.
I said he had a good quote. And
he killed a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat, but JFK was a great guy.
Yeah.
A great guy. LBJ's a piece of shit. They should take his name off everything in the state of Texas. The CIA has proven he's a piece of shit. But anyways, back to your deal.
It's a distraction of...
Less than 1% of the people, we shouldn't have to conform for them. They can go in the boys' bathroom biologically where they're born, and they go, we've got on to transgenders, let's go on to some other things.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, so we're going to add, we're going to make it, ADA is going to come in and you got to add a third bathroom. How are mom and pop stores that are already struggling financially going to afford to add a third bathroom?
That's a private business. They don't have to.
But they're already struggling.
You already have ADA compliance. You have to be.
Right. Yeah. Like
if they get it ADA, but that is some. Sorry, I'm keep cutting you off, Andy. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. But mom and pop stores are already struggling to make ends meet, and now we have to add a third bathroom to conform to something that is 3% of the population, less than 3% of the population.
That's not an issue we'll have to face in Texas because they already passed a ban on it.
Thank God.
Yeah, but if they had to come up, let's say we didn't, right? We had to come up with ADA compliance, right?
And I say ADA, I'm not sure that was
whatever
just the
that might.
thing.
Yeah, whatever
it is ADA.
Is it ADA? My answer to that would be if the billionaire corporations were paying their fair share, I'm betting that mom and pop could probably be able to apply for a program.
What billionaire corporations are we talking about?
Well, Lancium's one. It's $1 billion corporation.
Everybody, this is the left's favorite talking point: is the billionaire corporations
because they exist.
They're private. Are they private businesses?
It's a talking point that exists.
Are they private businesses?
Yeah, so are y'all. But they're held to higher standards.
Or are they public businesses? Because they publicly traded companies or privately companies?
Well, they would be public.
Okay, if they're publicly traded companies, their job is to make a profit for their shareholders. That's their job.
That's okay.
I'm not saying everything that a publicly traded company is good, because I'm with you on that. But we always demonize the rich things. Always, it's the billionaires, it's this, that. There wouldn't be a university if it wasn't for billionaires. There wouldn't be hospitals if it wasn't for billionaires.
We wouldn't have labor rights if it wasn't for the 1920s when people like J.P. Morgan had to finally break down and do something.
Well, I'm not saying that. That's a whole completely different answer. And what I'm saying is we are sliding back into that. They are gutted. They've got OSHA they deal with.
They've made sure to gut not the labor antitrust law, which is stuff that helped workers out. And so you're telling me, well, it's a private business. It's a private business. Well, if all of the private businesses just decide, you know what, we're going to move on to AI now because they can. You can go to Taco Bell right now and get your orders screwed up on AI. That's what's happening. And so if they all decide, well, screw it, we don't need these people. We'll just do AI. Which Sam Altman,
Amazon,
Palantir, what's his name? JD Vance's boy, Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel has given an interview where he's not real sure if humans should exist. He's literally like, they were like, do you think humans should exist? He had to think about it. That's crazy.
I think he's thinking about talking about in the workplace.
But that is a problem.
Well,
if you don't think humans should exist, so when does it start? When do you start to give a shit about workers? Is it when there's 50 million people in America who've lost their jobs? Was that when 70, 80, 100 million?
How many people do you employ?
We'll be standing on the bread lines arguing about who should go into what bathroom.
Everybody that complains about this, how many do you? That's what's always fun. I find it so rich when you get rich politicians, Democratic rich politicians and Republican rich politicians up there talking about jobs. Elizabeth Warren, always about the jobs. Bitches about the price of tuition at school while she was making $500,000 teaching one class at Harvard. Her husband's a Harvard professor and makes about $500,000 a year. So she's sucking $1 million a year out of Harvard, or was. But she's bitching about the cost of tuition. Well, it's pretty simple. Don't make $1 million a year. You and your husband both make $100,000 a year.
College is a racket for sure too.
Big time. But it's always rich when politicians have never created a job, like Bernie Sanders, who's never had a real job in his life, talks about jobs and these evil companies are just making profit. How many jobs has Bernie Sanders ever created? Zero. He's never owned a business. Zero. He owns 7 homes, but it's zero.
Does it count if you pass a policy where people can open up new businesses, though? Isn't that creating a job? Then they hire more people?
He's never created a shit. And them politicians, Obama, you didn't build that, we built that. No. Somebody went and fucking borrowed money and hired one guy, hired 3 guys, hired 10 guys, hired 20 guys, hired 50. That's how America is. America's not built on these politicians that have never owned a fucking thing in their life or never created a job. They never worried about paying taxes. They never worried about how they was going to make payroll. They didn't worry about when something breaks down because they don't fucking have a clue. And that's what we're full of up there. We finally do have a president that has ran businesses. And I know a lot of people that have worked for him that say he's a great guy to work for and he was good to his people. Lots of them. But you got so many politicians never created a job in the world, but they villainize these corporations. You see them all the time. Shell's a big... How many fucking people work for Shell Oil Company? Those people are making 100, 150, 200,000 a year. They got benefits, they got retirement, they get insurance, but it's not enough. We need to pay them more. They're not paying their fair share. What is their fair share?
More.
Well, but what? Tell me what it is. And why is it these billionaire companies should have to pay more money than anybody else does?
What do you think? Let me ask you this then. What do you think is a livable wage, hourly wage? What would you call a liberty average?
It depends what you want to do with your life. Do you want a vacation?
Let's just talk in general. In general, what would you say would be
you mean somebody that wants to actually work and and raise their family?
Yeah, and I want to.
World probably need to make $25 an hour, but you need to go do something that's worth $25 an hour. Not work at McDonald's and think you should make $25 an hour.
Here's my question: Do you like McDonald's?
I go there sometimes out of convenience. I go out there convenient sometimes.
So why is it that because somebody chooses to work at a job like Starbucks, why should they not be able to own a house and have that job?
Go get another job.
Why do they have to do that? Why? That's the thing. See, my dad bought a house when he was 18 years old. He had one job and he was a cowboy. How many cowboys y'all know make good money? Not a one.
But
they're all married to a teacher or a nurse.
Okay.
But my point is, Jeff, you're sitting here saying you should suffer because you
didn't say suffer.
You did.
I said live the way you want to live.
So why should they have to suffer to live the way they want to live?
Why should I have to pay a guy $25 an hour to clean a bird?
Because you said just living wage.
I said, if that's what you want to do.
But you said that's what you would say. Okay, if you're not going to pay that, that's fine.
You asked me a different question. You said, what should living wage? I'd be out of fucking business. And so that's what Democrats
right, well, you live in a different area for sure.
No, hold on. It don't matter. Democrats, this is what you do about this work, this damn...
It matters where you live.
Hold on. Minimum wage bullshit. You should make $25 a living wage. You know what? If you live in New York City, get off your fucking ass and go get a job. Sell hot dogs on the street. You can make more money.
I got 2 jobs myself.
Don't blame me when you don't have shit because you don't want to go to work.
Okay, but nobody's blaming you. Nobody's blaming you.
But you said we need to make the living.
We're blaming people that have billions of dollars. This is what people need to understand, and I hope your listeners are listening to this.
Oh, I'm sure they're hearing this.
Yeah, they're loving it. They're probably screaming at me out through their dashboard right now. We're not talking to you. We're talking to people who employ entire percentages of the population, not Jeff Stanfield.
But who are these people you're talking about?
The 1% of billionaires, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, people that are trying, and these are just ones that I can come up with. There's so many. There's about 900 of them.
Let's talk the Walton family. Okay, they're big. They own sports franchises. They got everything and stuff. Mm-hmm. Sam Walton started out in one store, made a fucking ton of money.
How long ago was that?
Oh shit, probably in the 60s. But anyways, he did, and he made this money. But why do they need to hire people to stock shelves $25 an hour? Because if you want to stock shelves at Walmart and you're happy with what you do, I'm good with that. But don't act like they're supposed to be making $100,000 a year and going 4 vacations a year.
Nobody said that either.
No, but you said a living wage where they can buy a house and stuff. Housing cost is ridiculous.
$162,000 in our district alone.
I agree with you on that. But you know what? There's all kinds of trades. They're hiring 800 electricians that day. Go to school and become an electrician. You know what happened when I was growing up? Hold on. When I grew up, I got a lot more time on this earth, so I'm going to tell you this much. I grew up very poor. Very, very poor. I've got a whole lot better life than I ever had. I got lucked into what I do for a living. There's no doubt about it. I hit the lottery on the life on what I do for a living. I didn't learn any major skills or anything like that. I'm lucky. I'm a good salesperson.
Right. Just the hustle. The hustle.
But me and Tony busted our ass to get where we are and married Michelle. Michelle's busted her ass and she takes care of all the stuff in here. But we work hard to do what we got. And we've made a good living and we've provided for a family and we're very, very blessed. But you want to know something? You know why Jeff don't have a private jet? Because of Jeff Stanfield. If I'd have hustled and done more, I could have had that private jet. My goal in my life is to take my grandkids and family, the whole family, on a trip, all 12 of us, on a private jet and go somewhere and stay at a house that costs $10,000 a week on the ocean. That's my dream. It may never happen, but if it doesn't happen, it's because of me. Now, if I didn't,
that's all luxury.
That's right.
People want to,
but that's right.
People want to pay their bills and pay rent on their house.
That's right, and I did that, and I bought my house.
When I say that because of the
1998, decades. But I bought my house.
And how great were the 90s?
I don't know, but it
was very good.
But I worked hard. But that's the difference. In the 90s, people weren't going to work at McDonald's thinking they were going to provide for their family the rest of their life. Those days.
And that wasn't okay either. They should have been able to.
Bullshit. That job was meant for high school kids. There were part-time jobs after work. That's what people got to realize. Not every job is meant to raise a family.
Why?
Because it's not.
Why?
It's not sustainable.
I don't understand why people can't work a regular job.
I'm gonna tell you right. When I was at 16 years old, minimum wage was $3.35 an hour.
And it's still $7.25. Okay. You're not proving anything. You couldn't buy a house at
$3.35.
You couldn't buy a house at $3.35 an hour.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but that things hadn't changed. That job was not meant to work and to raise a family on. That wasn't it. McDonald's wasn't giving kids making $3.35 an hour. We got to provide medical insurance. We got this. You know why McDonald's pays $15 an hour now? Because they can't get workers. Because all these kids think you need to make $25 an hour. Go to school, become a nurse, an LVN, learn how to be a tech, learn how to be a plumber. They need plumbers and electricians everywhere. Get off your ass and get something. A job where you say we want fries like that. You're not supposed to make $100,000 a year and buy a house.
And first of all, nobody's trying to make $100,000 a year handing fries.
If that's what you're going to do to buy a house, you're going to have to.
This is the issue, and that is the issue.
Yeah.
Why is it?
Go get a job. Why is it? Not every job is meant to be a career.
Why can't it be?
Because you're telling people they can be homeless.
But you're telling people how they should live and how decisions they should be making. If a dude wants to go home, I slipped up with some language. Whee boy. Anyways, if a person wants to go and just make a cup of coffee and own a car and be able to afford their rent on their apartment, and maybe they want to stay there their whole life. What you're telling me is this person who just they just like making coffee, man. You like coffee, don't you, Andy?
They better live in fantasy land, and they better have some roommates.
You like coffee though, don't you?
No,
because
I don't.
Everybody, well, whatever. If you don't like coffee, that's fine.
I drink coffee. Go ahead. What's your point?
Everybody, they were necessary during COVID, right? Everybody wanted their McDonald's, and everybody was like, yeah. And then COVID ends, and everybody goes, anyway, you shouldn't be able to do this job. Go do something else. What if they don't want to? What if they would just that's my point is you're telling me this is the way it is, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, what's the answer then?
Well, the answer would be holding people more accountable in their areas, right? You shouldn't have to pay $25 an hour because you live in Knox City and rent is not that high. So it should, like Midland, right? Walmart workers in Midland make a little bit more than Walmart workers in Abilene. They can't get nobody
to work there because they'd be working in the oil field where they make a real living.
Because they can't afford. Yeah. Well, why do you think that is? It's because we can't afford to live.
Supply and demand.
And we just agreed that housing costs are going up. By the way, they've risen 9%. I want to say it's in just Abilene, but it could be our entire district.
Who is going to pay for all of this?
The people that are paying their fair share in taxes. Let me, and I'm going to use this as an example. Don't you? What happened in Abilene? They're raising the taxes next year, and they're going to raise the bus fare for the public transportation, which is mostly disabled people and stuff like that, low income people. They're raising the bus fare on them. Now, we were supposed to get all this money, right? Revenue, this tax revenue. That's why we gave them an 80% tax abatement. Now, you're telling me, how do we do it? Well, if they didn't get 80% tax abatement, I bet our property taxes wouldn't be going up. And I bet we could probably figure out how to fix that bus without jacking up the price on people who can't even afford a car.
So where's that money coming from?
That money
before this big tax break, where was all this money at?
It wasn't there. The bus,
you said that because the tax abatement, they lost this money. So where was the money at before?
No, it's money. It's not money we lost. It's money we're not getting.
But that don't have nothing to do with the bus fares going up.
Sure, it does.
So
the city itself can allocate that.
This company that's got $500 million more joined into your tax deal in Abilene is the reason your buses don't work. But you're getting $500 million more than you had.
And that's the thing.
So if they weren't there at all, you would have
million
zero.
Ain't nothing. 500 million.
What do you
is
mean ain't nothing?
You just said you got to make $100,000 a year to buy a house. Why do you think 500 million ain't nothing? If I got to make $100,000 a year to buy a house, then that means money's not worth what it was.
You're two different issues here.
I'm not. You're saying 500 million is not worth what it was in 10 years ago.
I'm saying you're saying this tax abatement they got.
Right.
If it wasn't for the 500 million more that Abilene's getting, they would get zero. What's going on with this bus before zero was here?
It was running poorly, and now guess who's not helping it?
Now you're getting $500 million more of taxes
not helping
coming in.
That's not helping it.
So what happens if you wouldn't get that? You'd really be fucked.
I mean, that's a different. If that business didn't come there, fine. But the point that I'm making is that money should and could, if it was more, be going to help those services. I don't have a problem with the 500 million, but it's obviously not enough. Because we're still raising the price. And this is, like I said, this is happening all over, not in just our city. We're still raising the price on the consumer. Our taxes are still going up.
How many services do you think we should provide? I'm not against public transportation at all. But all it is
what kind of... I mean,
any kind of public transportation is a burden on the system. You provide it, but it's like having a swimming pool in Knox City. We provided Knox City. Now, hold on, you're laughing, but this is the same thing.
No, it's good.
We have a swimming pool that we open for the kids in Knox City every year. It costs the city $20,000 to $25,000 a year. We lose every year right off the bat. To a big city, it's not a lot. To Knox City, $25,000 is a lot of money, but it's $25,000 a year, and you get absolutely nothing out of it more than a service. Can you agree with me on that, Andy?
So the kids of the community, they get nothing out. Nobody in the community gets nothing out of it.
It costs the city money.
$25,000 so some kids can swim. That's it. We don't get nothing out of it other than we give it as a service.
Because the American way is to be a force for good, correct?
No.
Oh, okay. We're not. Andy, I don't know if you know this or not, but America is not a force for good.
It is something to give back to the community, just like those buses.
That's a good thing to do.
That's right. But it still costs us money, is what I'm saying. It doesn't help everybody. I got a pool in my backyard. My grandkids come to it. They don't use the city pool. We have one party a year we go to there, right? Sure. If it wasn't for that, have your kids ever go to the city pool? Mm-mm. No. How many times do you go to the city pool and use a kid? Very often?
I'm not a big summertime activity guy.
Okay, but your brothers didn't hardly either. We just remember the country club they go swim at.
Yeah, but I didn't swim there either.
Okay, but they did though a little bit. But I'm just saying,
I don't like the water.
We all pay for it, but only certain people use it. Bus, city transportation, the same way. I don't have a problem with it, and I think it should be there. I think we should do more to help poor people.
Sure,
but hey, don't vilify that $500 million. You're getting extra that you would not have gotten.
But it's not going to.
It doesn't matter. You're getting $500 million fucking dollars more tax money that you would have not gotten if it wasn't for that people out there. Plus, it's providing jobs, which is making the housing costs go up. I do understand that, but they're adding to the tax base. The problem is shit costs more, but everybody always wants to give, but they don't understand how to pay for it. And the excuse always is, if the rich people would pay their fair share. What the fuck's a fair share? Why do rich people get penalized for what they make?
Well, because most of them run off of debt. They don't actually have money in their pocket.
But why should they have to pay? If you make $1 million a year, why should you have to pay a higher percentage of income tax than someone that makes $10,000? That's bullshit.
I'm actually not asking anybody that makes $1 million a year to pay any of that, because those aren't the people I'm talking to. Again, I am not talking about those people.
How much money do you think if Elon Musk, he wrote the biggest check in the history? I think, what did he pay in taxes last year? It was like a shitload. I saw a check. I mean, it was like $500, $600, $700 million or more. He may have paid more than that. He may have paid over $1 billion. But how much money should he pay before you'd be happy?
I'd like the money. Well,
honestly,
to answer you, I'd like that money and to go to places that need it.
Well, you're giving it to politicians. They fuck up everything.
Sure. That's why I'm running, because I would like somebody to make the decisions for that money.
What about the USAID money? What about all that? That's the biggest fucking waste in the world. Why are we sending money to foreign governments?
I don't. Yeah. Texas. We're not. I don't know why.
It's stupid.
Yeah, well, your governor is
My governor ain't spending money to Israel.
no,
The
but he's
federal government
no,
is.
No, he's not. Look it up, Andy. What did I'm telling you?
I got
Greg
too much
Abbott
shit
went
I'm looking
after
up.
San Marcos because they decided not to send money to Israel.
They shouldn't send no money
And
to
now
Israel.
we have laws that say that you can't even boycott Israel.
Okay, in 2020,
4
20,
or 2023.
I'm looking at 2021. He paid
I
an
said your governor,
estimated.
our governor. Sorry, Jeff. It's not
Elon
solely
Musk in
yours.
2021 paid $11 billion
Okay.
in taxes.
11?
But hold on
Okay.
a second, because in 2024, public reporting for 2024 has focused on the federal income taxes paid by his company, Tesla. Despite reporting $2.3 billion in U.S. income, Tesla paid zero federal income taxes for 2024. Over the
Okay.
past 3 years, the company has paid 0.4 in effective federal tax rate on $10.8 billion in profit.
Okay. How much?
0.5%.
Okay. How many people
I had
did
to pay
he?
taxes in 2024.
Okay. Well, I don't know why he
All
didn't
of them.
pay. He may not even have gotten a check from him.
Well, I know why he didn't.
How much money do you think? You just want to go after billionaires, and plus, if you took every
Absolutely.
dime that he had, every dime that Elon Musk had, and you put it in our government, it wouldn't pay for one fucking bus to get fixed because there's so much
But
money
I bet
taken
if
in.
not, I bet if
But why do
900
you-
people started paying,
Why?
he just told you he didn't pay 0% in taxes. and yet-
Tesla didn't.
Tesla
They
didn't. They might have
Tesla
taken a
did.
loss as a corporations. Lots of corporations do. Again, that's the laws that the politicians make. But why do you have a problem with billionaires? I don't understand this.
The reason with billionaires.
Yeah, why? Why? What money is? How much money is too much money?
Let me. We got to go back in history to understand why I have a problem with billionaires.
I want to know your reason why
and
you
I'm
don't.
about to give it to
Okay.
you. I make my opinions based off of research and data that I had to
Okay.
do because I'm not the smartest person in the world.
You've come across pretty intelligent. You've done a good job.
But let's look back. Come across. Thank you, Jeff.
no, you've
No,
been intelligent. I didn't mean that rude.
No, I'm
you've
kidding.
done a good.
I'm giving
You've
you a
done
hard
a good
time.
job.
He also told Bubba McDaniels to his face, "You're a lot cooler than I thought you'd be."
I just thought he'd be kind of a horse's ass. He was a
Jeff.
super good dude. Hey, I'm honest about shit.
No, it's all
I
right.
speak what's on my mind.
The reason that I have a problem is because we've already been through this. We went through it in the 20s, and we had.
I don't think there's a billionaire in their 20s. There's people would be today's money would be worth $1 billion.
Sure, okay.
But why do you have a problem?
Because we did this before. It was in the probably before that, but realistically in the Gilded Age, we spent this time. We know what happens when power gets consolidated with the ultra wealthy, not the millionaires, not the even 10 millionaires, not the 100 millionaires, with the ultra wealthy that got more money than Davy Crockett. They're just way more money.
So Carnegie.
Sure,
If it wasn't for Carnegie, we wouldn't have public libraries.
that's fine.
Okay.
Vanderbilt. I'm not saying that people don't do good things, but they had to bend. Why? Well, we had children working at that time. We had people that were working 12, 13, 14, 16-hour days.
We're beyond all that. What about today? Why do you hate
So
billionaires?
today, the same thing is happening. The only difference is we have AI now. So now people's jobs are at risk. There are companies that are using AI and they're going to ramp up and do it more because it's cheaper. It's easier not to hire Riley Rodriquez, and it's easier to just set it up on AI. That's why they're building these things. And what my problem is that history is beginning to mirror itself. And this is exactly what they did in the 20s, where you and I are going to sit here and we're going to talk about how people need help. And we're going to talk about how people don't make enough money. And we're going to agree that housing costs are too high. But the propaganda's got everybody convinced that it couldn't be the people who have more money than anybody can even spend in their entire lifetime. If people made $70,000, this is off the top of my head, but $70,000 be good for a month, right? That'd be pretty decent. Probably get by on that. That ain't even going to get you close to $1 billion. So when you start to just go, well, they're doing all of this and well, he built this, and he built that. That's all well and good, and we appreciate that. But he also didn't pay any taxes to get that land. He also didn't pay his. Also,
they're not giving him land. Probably he probably bought the land.
Sure, whatever. The point is that they can buy that. They have the resources to do more. And I'm not saying that we should force them. I'm not saying reach into their bank account and take it from them. What I'm saying is that as a state, we should have some guardrails. You wear a seatbelt when you drive. How many wrecks you got in where you needed it?
How many people out there working at that AI center are forced to work out there? None. How many of them are making a damn good living and happy to have that job? 99% of them.
And that's all well and good. But there's over 100,000 people living in town. There's 100,000 people living in that town, and a lot of them can't afford to go anywhere.
That's not. When do people become accountable for themselves? I'm just curious about that with you. In your way you're thinking.
Okay.
When are people accountable for themselves?
If I make $25,000 a year, how much do I need to pay? How many taxes do I need to pay the government?
If it's up to me,
I'm
zero.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell
Zero.
you. Well, it's not. It's 100% of them. I got to pay on those taxes.
You pay 100% of $25,000.
I've got to. Whatever I owe on that money, I can't say. Well, I've only got $400, y'all. Sorry. They're not going to take that. You know what they're going to do? They're going to come take my stuff.
$0 is what you should pay. You asked me what I thought they should pay. Zero. I don't.
But
think
that's not how we're being treated.
But how is it fair to a guy who makes $150,000 a year to have to pay 38%? That's bullshit.
Are people who make $150,000 a year paying 38%?
I thought, what is the tax rate on $150,000? It's pretty close to that, I bet. Andy's like the can't deal. But regardless, we make.
He's not who I'm talking to either.
The guy who makes more, it doesn't matter, but he's affected by this because. Everybody wants to pay tax. No, it's not either. He shouldn't pay 38%.
No, if he's not, I'm not saying he should.
I don't think if you make $5 million a year, you should pay 38%.
Me neither.
I don't think we should have an income tax. We got enough money coming off tariffs. We don't even have to have income taxes.
Yeah,
we should not have. We do. It's offset. If we quit giving our fucking money to foreign countries and to USAID and all these fuckers that don't want to work, how many damn Section 8 apartment complexes are all over this country? That's bullshit. We don't need that many. People can work. We got too many fucking people been scamming the system for years.
I think you're a little too caught up on the fact that they're pointing at people that don't have any power and the less fortunate, and you're saying, well, they're just lazy.
No, there's a lot of them are.
Over 100,000 people in our district, they're all just lazy.
There's a lot of them that are.
They're all 100. It's like 134,000, Jeff.
And I'm gonna bet you out of 134,000 of them. And we're talking kids in this situation. If mom and dad get off their ass, some of them wouldn't be there.
25% is single family homes, and 95% of those are single mothers.
24% is the tax rate for people making between $100,000 and $197,000.
Okay, 25% of their money they have to pay in taxes. So if you make federal tax, if you make $190,000 a year, you're supposed to give Uncle Sam $48,000 a year. That's horseshit.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it's horseshit. Same as if someone makes $35,000 a year, they shouldn't have to pay that much either. And they're paying what, 13%?
But we are
12%.
12%.
And that's my point. Okay, but we are.
But hold on now. Here's my issue. They shouldn't have to either. I'm gonna get to that. But you know what I have another big issue is? Person that don't fucking work at all that gets child tax credits and they got 3 kids and they get a refund check of about $10,000 a year or $15,000. That's not a refund. They didn't pay a damn dime in. And there are a big portion of people that don't work and don't do shit that get Christmas in February. And we all know people like that. And that's a bullshit deal too. That's not fair for them to get money when they don't contribute a dime. They shouldn't get taxed, but they shouldn't get a reward for not working. You're sick. You're disabled. You're an older person. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with you living in free government housing. I got a problem with the able-bodied person that will get off their ass and get a job. And we both know lots of people like that. We can pretend they don't. But if you want to work at McDonald's or you want to work at Starbucks for the rest of your life, that's fine. That's your choice. But don't come at me when you can't afford a car and you can't do shit like that, because you could go get a better job. Help yourself. And it's been that way since the dawn of time. When I was a kid growing up, you know what? I was poor. You know what? My mom or dad could have got better jobs if they wanted to. They didn't, but we could get by. My dad was a fireman. Same fireman job now is paying $75,000 to $100,000 a year. Back then was paying $25,000 probably. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot, but it was cheaper to live. But we survived and got by.
You know? It's gotten harder to live, and people aren't making it.
But you know what? They can get better jobs. A lot of them. And not everybody. And I feel sorry for people that are stuck in them situations. Like I had people come out to me one time. I said something about, I feel sorry for the people that live in the ghetto neighborhoods that can't get away. I feel sorry for the older black couple that are stuck in the hood in South Central or South Chicago and they can't get away. Well, just move somewhere else. They can't afford to, because if they sell their house, they're going to get a nickel on it of $1 because it's not worth nothing because it's in a shitty neighborhood. I feel for those people. I'm not cold-hearted towards that fact. But don't come at me that everybody out there is being held down by the rich man. They're not. Most people are held down by themselves. That's who holds everybody down, is themselves. You know, Andy, would you have more if it wasn't for Andy?
Of course.
Yeah, and that's the same with me. So is Riley. Now, that doesn't mean you're not happy with where you're at. But a lot of these people, they don't want to get off their ass and do more. They're happy going to McDonald's every day and going home and playing video games, living in their one-bedroom apartment, not having any money. And that's their choice. You could go to school at night. If you're free, there's all kinds of free programs to go to get an education and do better things with your life. Learn how to be an electrician. Do you know any plumbers that are struggling right now? I don't. You do?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's hard. It's hard. That's the thing, man, is everything that you're saying, that all makes really good sense 15 years ago. But that's not what's happening. People that are regular people are having a hard time getting by. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, they're all just lazy. Most millennials have 2 or 3 jobs. Most people I know that are my age have 2 or 3 jobs. That's not a lazy person. And I'm not going to use me as an example, but I myself have 2 jobs. I'm not lazy.
What do
3
you
now?
What you train, and what else do you do?
And I'm also running a pool service that I do. Now I have to create manageable growth with that because I'm only one guy, but I also can't afford to hire anybody because prices continue to climb.
Whoa, hold on. Why aren't you hiring someone and paying them $60,000 a year?
Because I don't have that capital.
Bingo. That's what I was getting at earlier when you was talking about.
So why should people that have a lot of capital not have to do that?
They shouldn't have to. So you're telling me, well, that's the same
if I
as
had a
why
lot of
don't you
capital,
hire somebody
if I had
then?
a lot of capital,
Well,
that I would pay them a living. I would pay them that wage, but I don't. But guess what? I don't hire anybody.
So if you got your business up enough to where you're making a profit of $60,000 a year, you're going to hire someone else and give them the $60,000 that you worked your ass off to get to.
I'm going to hire them to make at least above poverty level.
Well, what's
which
poverty
is
level?
$25,000 a year. I think it's $25,000 a year for poverty level.
Well, that's awful evil of you, Riley.
That's $12.
That's kind of shitty of you. You ought to be able to pay more than that. You ought to buy them a company car and buy them insurance.
And you know what, Jeff? When I get more pools and I have more capital, I'll pay them more money.
It don't work that way though.
Why not? Why can't I give them a raise?
Because you can, but the Democratic Party wants you by God to be paying them and giving them all this free insurance.
What they say.
But that's what we live in. That's the system we live in. You got one side that's for capitalism. We got one that's for free shit. And that's what my point is. If you're going to hire somebody, by God, you need to provide them health care. You need to provide them a raise. You need to buy, and by God, if their wife gets knocked up and have a baby, you need to pay for them to stay home for 6 months. And that's bullshit deal.
6 weeks.
You can't, no, they want 6 months or more, probably 3 years.
But some of them, it depends on the company.
My point is, you have a job. You know that. That's the hard part. It's easy for people to say, well, the rich people need to, or the business owners need to do this. Business owners can't afford shit. And if you move minimum wage to $25 an hour, there won't be jobs. Why do you think McDonald's is going to all these kiosks and shit?
First of all, McDonald's is the biggest real estate company in the nation. They don't own a business. They own real estate.
Yeah, we're very, very we understand a lot about McDonald's. We got a good friend of ours that's a VP there.
Yeah.
So we understand a lot about that. But the reason a lot of these companies are going to these kiosks and shit is so they don't have people call in sick. They don't have to deal with all the drama and shit, and it's cheaper for them. Do I like it? No, I don't. I wish we could go back to the way things were, but we can't.
So can we have guardrails at least? I know it's hard to turn the bus around, but can we have a guardrail?
If the government's involved, no, because the government fucks up everything they touch.
Well, then why? So the solution is just to ride it till the rails fall off, and then when we're all pushing wheelbarrows of money up to the United to buy a damn banana, then we'll be like, oh, gosh, somebody really ought to do something about this.
But I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think the government involvement is it. Capitalism is it. We need a free market.
We don't have a free market.
And if we get rid of a bunch of these Chinese goods and we start making stuff being made in America, prices of the product will go up, but also will wages and more jobs.
Would you agree with breaking up private equity firms that own, like the fact that tobacco industry owns our food industry? Would you agree with breaking something like that?
I'm against all that shit. Like Big Pharma owns all of our politicians.
So again, what I'm saying is, what if we just apply a little bit more fiscal responsibility, the same that we all have, right? Andy, how much are your taxes due on your house every month? Do you get to pay some of them, or do you get to pay all of them?
Yeah, I got to pay all of it.
Okay. There are people that don't have to do that, and those people tend to have unlimited resources.
Who don't pay taxes on their houses?
Well, there's billionaires who have many different houses, and they can borrow against the money but they deal in debt, right?
They pay property taxes.
If you have 1 million shares of Tesla, right, and you go to a bank and you want to buy a $200,000 house, you can just borrow against your shares, and you don't own that money. That's not your money, but that's your house.
You still have to pay property tax on it.
Sure. The point that I'm making is that with like the AI center, you know what? That was a poor example. I'll use a better one. Andy, if you want to open up a hardware store that requires 2.5 acres of the lot, right? How much of your property taxes due that year? All of it.
All of it.
You don't get to say, hey, I didn't get enough. Hang on. You didn't get to say, and they charge you that. Why? Because it goes to the city, right? It's revenue for the city. My point is, why can't we just boost that up and give the county, the state, a little more revenue.
The people would not have opened up that AI center. They negotiated probably with Dallas, Fort Worth, Longview, Wichita Falls, everywhere. And Abilene came up to him and said, hey, some guy was a salesman at the Abilene's EDC that got this project done. The guy needs a hands up for what he does. It's an economic development board. And whoever sold that, got that deal done, made a hell of a deal. He got the land part purchased for him. They come up, they bought this place. And you know what? Abilene's got $500 million worth of taxable shit that they would have zero on. And they might not be paying on the other $3 billion, but they've created 5,000 jobs. Maybe they're there 3 years. Maybe they're there 8 years. Let's say there's only 1,000 jobs that stay there. That's 1,000 good jobs that wouldn't be there. That guy should get a hands up. He done a great job, because if it wasn't in Abilene, they would be doing it in Tyler, Amarillo, or some other place. All those around. Teams are going to go. Well, but that's a big one. And everybody negotiated trying to get that job. Water's my biggest problem. I don't have anything to problem with them on the taxes. We got to get off here in a minute. Get in our podcast in a minute. But I want to have you on. You've been a really good guest. We're going to disagree on a lot of shit. But
can I close with what I would?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
And just for your listeners, I know that me and Jeff also obviously went back and forth on social issues, and social issues are important. But what I am running on are kitchen table issues. People, it's hard to get a house. It's hard to live. Property taxes continue to go up, and there's very little representation in our area. Our rural hospitals are getting closer and closer to closing, and we're not making decisions that help them stay open. If you were to invest more in our rural hospitals, we can have more jobs. I like to use my dad as an example. He was on dialysis, right? And we had to drive an hour and a half, 2 days a week to get dialysis. When we could, and we have an aging population in these rural areas, and we should be investing that money that you're talking about, right, in the people and making sure that that's what we're doing. So as a representative, that would be my goal, is to make sure that all of this revenue we're bringing in, because industry is good, revenue is good. I understand that. Business is good. But people in our area are, in fact, suffering. And there are a lot of different factors to that. There are a lot of different USAID or Medicare or whatever. You can point to a lot of different factors, but one of those factors is that there is uncontrolled, unmitigated growth that people cannot keep up with. Our base median salary is in the 50,000. That was in the 53, somewhere in there. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably misquoting it. But we're still in basically the same place we were in the 70s in wages. So I think as a representative, we should be also looking at that. It's not just an anomaly that just whatever. This is crazy, ain't it? All these people are having these problems. They all just must be lazy and don't want to work. I think people are having a hard time. The quality of life is declining, and our politicians are more worried about private interest. And that is something that I would like to change if I can, in the best way I can. And yes, I think part of that does come from holding industry a little bit more accountable, regardless of what you might think. The people that have more resources should also have the same standards that are applied to us that have fewer resources. You know, Sam Houston said, a leader should do all they can. I'm paraphrasing. A leader should do what they can to improve the lives of their people or improve the system under which they live. And people are suffering, and we should be trying to improve that. Whichever way we can do that in a common sense, effective way that helps as many people as we can. I hope that's
very good. What I want to say is, this is what it should look like right here. We shouldn't be resorting to violence and everything else.
Oh, I was going to whip his ass. He wasn't so big. No,
but what I'm saying is like, in all seriousness, this is what America was built on. Coming in here, and if you have an idea, say it. Like, get out what your idea is and be able to argue it and be able to articulate why your idea is better. That is what America was founded on. And this place that we're at right now, where there's so much hate against, you're on that team, I'm on this team, we can't talk to each other. I think that's wrong. And I think that this was very good, because we disagree on some things, but that's the thing, is like,
we had a lot we agreed on too.
Most of what people agree on, I mean, you're going to agree 85%. It's just on these little nuances on the outside that people disagree on. But it should never resort to violence. It should never resort to cancel culture. It should never result into you shouldn't have a platform to be able to express your ideas. So I think that this was very good. I think, like Jeff said, you were articulate on a lot of your points.
I hope so.
Hats off both sides. This is what it should look like. So disagree all you want, but leave it at the door and hug each other and have a little bit of empathy for people.
And thank y'all for listening, and thank y'all for having me.
You've done a great job. I'd like to have you on again. I enjoyed this a lot. I would like to do this about once a month with you if we could.
Yeah,
this is
I'd
really
love to. It helps
very
me and helps
enjoyable.
y'all.
And I wish you the best luck, even though you're a Democrat. I wish you the best luck.
Different kind of Democrat,
the kid that come to my house that made messes at my house that my wife used to have to clean up all the time around. I'm very proud of you. Your daddy would be very, very proud of you. Your dad and my dad were really good friends. I wish you the best, Riley. You done a great job. I'm telling you right now, I was very, very impressed with everything from your vocabulary to your knowledge. You've done a really good job. You've been reading a lot, I can tell, and you've been out there. And I respect you. And I'm gonna tell you who else I respect, but I cannot stand the goofy son of a bitch is Bernie Sanders. I don't agree with him on 90% of the shit he does, but the things that he believes in, he's truly convicted to that. And you're the same way, and I respect you for that.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm very proud of you. And you've done a really, really good job. And this is probably one of my favorite deals because we have tried so hard to get someone on from the other side, and none of them will ever show up. And we're not going to be rude to you. We're just going to disagree with you on some things.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Andy is a lot more open-minded than I am on some things.
Deacon Andy.
And that's right, Deacon Andy. And I'm old, and so I'm stuck on my ways and some things, but you've done a good job. But I don't want to see anybody suffer, and I want everybody to have an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to have to disagree to agree on some things. But anyways, love you, proud of you, and I wish you the best. And like I said, I'd like to have you on again in a couple of weeks, 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, just give me
and
a
do
call.
some more and talk, because we got a lot of shit to talk about. We didn't even get into guns and all the other shit we could have talked about.
I think that would have gone a lot. That probably would have been just
That's more of that shit that you agree on.
Yeah, that's more shit, and we need to do more of that. I think that you're right, Andy. If people paid more attention to the stuff that you actually agree on,
you're a lot closer than you think.
We're a lot closer. You know, at the West Texas Fair and Rodeo, I had 7 registered Republicans sign my petition with the knowledge that, hey, you can't vote in a Republican primary if you sign this, and I counted that as a win just because it showed me and it gave me a chance to tell other people, like, hey, it's really not. Get off the internet and go touch some grass, because people at the end of the day are just people, and you can talk to them and you can disagree with them. And we had disagreements, but people that signed it were going, it's that's enough. I've had enough of some of this kind of like stuff. So I do think there is some hope in my mind that we are moving to that.
I wish we had an independent party that was more vocal, because I think that's what we need.
Less walls, more circles, and more circles.
And we'll never have a third party, I don't think. You need to go
make it hard.
You need to go by and see your Aunt Mo before you get out of town.
Yep.
All right, we got to get off here. I got to pee, and we got our podcast. God bless. Peace.
Thank
Have
y'all.
a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.